We're live.
We are live.
Yeah.
Well. Guess what, folks? You are actually watching Xbox Ultimate. So do not be confused just because Mav isn't talking. That's right. You get me as your host tonight. So not only did you get me last night on PM and the PM, if you were lucky enough to join myself, Mav, and of course we had King David on, but you get me tonight in the captain's chair as well. Mav's feeling a little under the weather, so he's going to be a little bit more low-key tonight. He's going to eat his animal crackers. He's going to kick back, going to put his feet up, and enjoy the show while the rest of us take over.
I don't know where my animal crackers are, Pong. This is a problem.
Of course, you've already ate them all. So they're all over the front of your shirt right now. But we do have somebody else who is going to help us this evening. So chat, first of all, please give a warm welcome to an amazing member of the community, somebody who I have not had the pleasure of podcasting with, which is quite rare these days, but he is a part, of course, of Game On Daily with the crazy sauce over there, Gaz, and of course the true owner of Game On Daily, Asa, because obviously he's nice and calm and he keeps the ship even keel. So we know who runs the ship over there, and that's Asa. But Hargeet, Channy, thank you so much for joining us tonight, brother. Again, a pleasure and honor to have you here. Thank you for taking your time out. How you been, man? What's been going on with you?
Yeah, I mean, things are okay.
Yeah?
My entire family got COVID. I'm the only one in the house that doesn't have it right now.
Wow.
And so I'm like isolating myself from all of them. But
Good idea.
but yeah, outside of that, things are going, I guess.
Stay there and do podcast all day, every day until it's over.
Right?
Non-stop podcasting for Hargeet right now. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry to hear that. I hope everybody is
okay.
doing
Everybody's okay-ish now. They're mostly like getting over it. My mom's the one who has it now, and we'll see how that goes. She's been kind of okay, just kind of feeling it, but not terrible. Thankfully, she has all her boosters and all that stuff, so hopefully it'll pass. But yeah, whatever. So, but yeah, interesting game times though. There's plenty of good news and stuff that comes out these days, right? So. But
absolutely. You've been playing anything cool lately, by the way?
So I usually try to catch up with Game Pass. So the games that are leaving Game Pass, I want to make sure I catch them before they leave. So I've been going through a whole bunch of those, and I just finished today. I finished Tiny Tina's. I finished that. Yeah, so finally, that's that.
Is that in Game Pass?
No, it's not.
Oh, okay.
I bought it a while ago. I just never got around to finishing it, and I finally got got a chance to do that.
So you actually finished the games in your backlog?
Yes,
that's something I need to work on.
That's never gonna happen for
I
you and me, Mav. It's never gonna happen. We're grazers. We're grazers for life, brother. We're gonna be playing games, bits and pieces, forever and ever. We're never gonna get.
I want to be buried with my backlog. That's the. But I don't know how you can do that with the digital era. That's
just
the only
throw an Xbox in there. Just
right
there you go. Just throw an Xbox.
This hard drive has all the games.
Run an extension cord and put like a little screen in there. We should be good to go.
God.
Yeah. So one of the ones that was leaving was Forgotten City. That was pretty good. I actually finished that one. I don't know if you guys have played that one or not.
Yep, I did
a little bit.
Yeah,
I
liked
dabbled in that.
Good.
Of course,
Yeah.
started out as DLC. Was supposed to be a DLC for Skyrim, and then wound up becoming much bigger.
Yeah.
So awesome game. Yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty
concept.
good.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Nice, Hargeet. Well, again, awesome to have you here, brother. And a pleasure. So we're gonna have a fun time tonight. Xbox Ultimate, we go all different ways, but of course now I'm in the captain's chair, which means that things are a little bit more under control. I don't let them go sideways as much as Mav. So we're gonna see how this happens.
Psycho's on his way. So
is he? Oh yeah, no, you're locked out, Psycho. Sorry. But Fuzzy Belvedere, brother Fuzzy. Oh man, what's going on with you, man? How you been this week? What have you been gaming on this week?
I've been actually pretty good. Returned to Forza Horizon 5 a good bit and doing the season stuff.
Nothing new.
Well, no, because I've been mainly as far as racing games, I've been on my GT7 kick for a while there, but returned to Forza Horizon for their 10th anniversary deal. We're on, was it season 3 now or week 3 with the winter season or dry season in Mexico, and got most of the cars. I still have to get the second car for the series type of deal, so I got a few more points I need to get, and I'm about, I guess, 75-80% through the campaign on Modern Warfare. Enjoying that. Haven't touched the multiplayer just yet. I know a few people had problems logging in, so I was like, I'll just wait until things settle down. But outside of that, just been going to my I guess usual favorites like Division 2. Completed the whole
course.
clothing. Completed the whole like I guess you could say the clothing or the apparel special week that they had, and
Nice.
got all the pieces. But man, looking at this news on Twitter and seeing how people are worried about the profits of Microsoft, and oh, they didn't want to believe it until Phil said it, and it's like just move the goalpost some more, why don't you? I guess
You know how the circus works, man. they don't have any solid goalposts. They just keep moving around different spots. That's what they do. Because now it's show me real numbers. Now it's
oh
that.
my god.
So it's not good enough that Phil said it. It could be $1, Fuzzy. It could be $1. We don't know. It could be $1 profit. I want to see real numbers. Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. Well, that's cool. Did you you were playing Call of Duty too, weren't you? Did you finish the campaign?
No, I'm about 70-80% through.
Okay.
I'm trying to remember the last part I'm on. Without spoiling anything, I'm where you're basically trying to clear. No, I already planted the bombs and cleared the prison, so
Yep.
Yeah, so you're almost done then.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I'm pretty through, well, pretty much through it. But yeah, it's a lot more fun than what I was expecting. Like Cold War was okay, and then it kind of fell off at the end a bit.
Yeah.
And then I did I think it's like 2 endings or 3 endings on Cold War. I was able to do those.
Yeah.
But,
Okay.
yeah, this I'm enjoying it quite a bit more in comparison to Modern Warfare 2019. I actually like this one's variety a bit more. Although I know, like, kind of like what Jasper was saying last week, where it's kind of all over the place kind of thing.
It is. It is. Yeah.
But it's it's fun. It's a breakup from the usual, I guess, stuff that they do. So it was pretty cool.
It's a 90s action flick. Is the way that I
Exactly.
look at it. Right? It is. It's exactly what I wanted out of a Call of Duty. Now I did have some gripes with it or whatever else, but overall I enjoyed the hell out of the campaign. And I think a lot of people are, but there's a lot of Jaspers out there who are like, it ain't as good as Modern Warfare. Okay. All right, listen. Just enjoy it. Move on. You guys, again, it's the campaign of Call of Duty. Who the hell cares? As long as it's halfway decent, which it was, because graphically, sound, all of that, and there's some amazing levels in there. Not all of them not being amazing, but there's plenty in there. So, well, great to hear, Fuzzy. Let's get to the actually guy, the Debbie Downer, Mr. I give it a 2. Listen,
6.
2.
Nah, you really meant the 2, Jasper. We all know it. Jasper, we got sweaty last night. Some Call of Duty multiplayer outside.
Yeah,
of that,
for the 5 matches we could play before
My
it crashed
God.
every other game.
Listen,
but yeah,
listen, it's not perfect. It's better than Overwatch 2. Okay, they're ahead of where their Blizzard brothers and sisters were at with Overwatch 2. So I'll give them credit. It wasn't perfect by any stretch, but it was fun. How you been this week, Jasper? What you got going on?
this week, oh wow, just early this week I was waiting for Modern Warfare, so we finished campaign, and then last couple days, or I guess last day, this whole period, because I went
Running
live
together.
early with New Zealand, and it's like, so I'm like, I don't know, it's like a 48 hours. It seemed like one day, so
Right.
I've just been playing multiplayer for like 2 days now, it seems like, and yeah, just I was chilling with the sweaty boys, other people before we
The
hopped on
people that
podcast.
don't take the
course.
bomb the wrong direction.
Yes.
Or just run outside into the hail of gunfire.
Where am I supposed to take the bomb?
Oh, yes, and of course we will get to Mav here, the quiet one tonight, as he is dealing with the head not feeling so well. But Mav, outside of that, how you feeling, brother? We've been getting down and dirty with some gaming. What's going on?
With some gaming, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, with some gaming. Look, we don't live in the same state, so there's none of that. There's no pause necessary.
I
This
mean,
is
that
no
don't mean
long
anything.
distance. Listen,
Well,
I ain't sexting anybody. It was if Matt was the
Do I
last
need to-
person on Earth, I wouldn't be sexting him. Okay.
do I need
So
to
we're
show
good.
people my phone? I mean, I'll take
Yeah, you can
screenshots.
go ahead and do that. Go ahead. Go
Okay.
ahead. You do it.
All
Got
right.
your wife's feet and stuff on there. I know that.
Yeah. No, that's only on for the YouTubers that wanted to.
Pay 30 cents.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was a guy in Brazil on one of
Super
our
chats.
streams that
Super chat.
kept paying super chats with Brazilian money. So it said like $10, but it's like 40 cents or something. Asking for feet pics. it was interesting.
That was an amazing stream.
But yeah, dude. Besides like having migraine right now, I just won't go away today. But used to those. Just today, for some reason, it's lingering longer. But been playing some games. I'm still hooked on NBA as always. They got some cool cards out today that I kind of want. So I'm gonna try and do the challenges and stuff to get the free packs. I did get one free pack already, and I got a Charles Oakley, 90 Charles Oakley. Yeah, you're muted, Pong.
I was not muted, and then I was okay. Never mind. Yeah, no, I like the oak tree. I was gonna ask. 90's nice. Did you see the 96 Ron Artest?
I did.
Ooh.
Yeah, but I'm afraid he might like leave the court and jump into the stands and start like fighting people during the game.
If
So-
2K put that in there, it would be amazing.
Yeah. Besides that, you know,
Put some
I
water on them.
I did finish
Yeah.
the COD campaign, and Jasper's crazy. It's not a 2.
I said 6, but
Yeah. Same thing.
Jasper 6 is
Same
actually
thing on
2
our
in real
scale.
life.
Yeah.
a
and-
6 on your all scale is a 2 apparently. Mine like 2 for me is actually a bad game.
I don't care, Jasper. You agreed with IGN. It's a
Yeah.
2. Suck.
So besides COD, I've been still dabbling in Gotham Knights. Performance issues be damned. It's still a fun ass game. The story is excellent. I love the mechanics built into the game. So I don't, based on the recent comments though, I don't have a lot of hope for a big performance patch.
No.
They are pretty much just saying that they are on
Couldn't stabilize
consoles
it?
going to try and stabilize it and maybe hope for performance boost on PC. So I'm not holding my breath there, but I will at this point take a stable 30. You know, that'd be a nice little upgrade. Maybe eventually down the road they'll figure out how to get Unreal Engine 4 to run 60 frames per second. But we'll see. We'll see.
Next gen console, maybe.
Next gen. Hey, at this point, I do want a mid-gen
refresh.
refresh just for Gotham Knights.
I don't even know if that would help.
Probably not. Like, if not, if a 3090 can't do 60 frames, and it ain't gonna help. You know.
No.
So, but yeah, but still having a lot of fun with games, dude. And Marvel Snap, you know, got to give a shout out to Marvel Snap. Marvel Snap is freaking awesome, and
Yes, it is.
I'm starting to play games more on my phone lately. It's crazy. What's happening to me?
Becoming a mobile gamer, casual.
I blame Xbox.
Next is gonna be Genshin Impact. That's what you're gonna be talking about.
Yeah,
next.
well, maybe whatever Chinese developer that Xbox invest in for the next Genshin Impact phenomenon. According to them, they're looking for,
They're
you know,
hunting.
they don't want to miss out on the next phenomenon like that. So we'll see. We'll see. Speaking of Genshin Impact, though, one interesting thing is that's exclusive to PlayStation, like a lot of Square games. Pong and Square made some interesting comments today.
Yeah, that's where I was going next. Why are you reading my mind?
Because
I'm
I was
taking
trying
over
to
the
give you
show.
a good segue as since you're
Why are you doing this?
you're the best host on the channel, so I wanted to make sure I gave the host a good segue there.
Well, thank you for the segue, sir.
Yeah.
I am not a rookie. I don't need training wheels, but I appreciate it anyways.
All
Thank
right.
you. No, you're right. Square Enix, everybody. Square Enix. Listen, if you watched any show that I'm on and the Square Enix topic has come up, you know my feelings on these fools. You know how long I've been suggesting that Square Enix needs to get with the program in 2022. And they probably need a management change in order to make this happen. And that's why I've said that somebody does need to purchase these guys. They don't have any idea what they're doing. So to Mav's point, and Hargeet, I'm going to go to you first on this. I'm going to read the actual statement, and I'll get your opinion on this, sir. But Square had some very, very, I don't know, I guess for them, they thought that they were kind of revolutionary thoughts, that they just figured this out, oh, well, this is what's wrong with us. After we've been telling them for, I don't know, probably the past decade, what's wrong with them and how they could be doing more. But this is their official statements today. Achieving major growth in the game industry is difficult now for companies that compete primarily in the Japanese market, given its graying demographics. As such, it is critical for our business that we produce hit titles that speak to the global market, which offers greater scale in terms of both customers and sales volumes. Mind-blowing stuff here, okay? So if you guys need me to slow down, I'll reread it. I mean, this is revolutionary right here, folks. Furthermore, game development efforts are becoming more sizable and sophisticated as a result of technological advancements in the devices on which they are played, such as consoles or smart devices. Is this like 1999? What are we doing here? What is this? I'm waiting for them to talk about Y2K in here, if anybody remembers that.
Yeah.
The investment required to develop game titles is therefore an order of magnitude greater than in the past. In other words, the Japanese market is no longer sufficient for achieving a level of earnings that enables us to recoup our development investment and generate profit. We therefore need to approach our development efforts based on the assumption that we have to succeed in the global market. Sincerely yours, Square Enix.
Was that a drop the mic right there?
Yeah, that was a drop the mic. Yeah, that was a drop the mic. Hargeet,
Yeah.
brother, you know this industry well, just like the rest of us. You are obviously passionate about it. When you hear Square Enix talk like the heavens opened up, the angels came down, and they spoke to Square Enix and said, "Hey guys, guess what? This is how the industry works here." And Square Enix is like, "Oh my God, what? This is what we've been missing. It's the key to everything." What are your thoughts on this, Hargeet? I don't know what your feelings are. Again, I don't know if you've spoken about Square Enix personally and how they make decisions. Xbox has been sitting there, but they just put a few games on it randomly, and then everything else is, pretty much Sony. What are you thinking here, Hargeet?
Look, I don't want to bash them either, right? So there's just this reckoning that's going to be happening over time, right? Yeah. Sony has created this model since they're essentially the console, market. They basically are it. And if you look at that model is you have to make cinematic experiences, which cost a lot of money, right? And because it's going to cost a lot of money, it's going to take a long dev cycle. Everybody else is starting to do the same thing, right? And all those publishers then have to figure out how they're going to recoup that money. And in some cases that becomes hard, right? So if you have Japanese focused games or even Asia focused games, eventually that will not be enough to actually make, your game profitable if you're going to continue to follow that model, right? If you're going to make the next Final Fantasy look like, The Last of Us Part 2, well, okay, that's going to cost money and you're going to have enough of an audience to bring that back. Final Fantasy is a pretty big name, but it's not going to be that big as far as the major, AAA games that come out. And that is one of the things they're going to have to kind of deal with, right? And it's across all the Japanese publishers, right? If you look at the Western publishers, they're a lot more profitable. That's just the way it is because they have global appeal. And a lot of those games from Japanese publishers don't resonate with the West. They just don't, right? Some people here play it. It's probably 10% of what it is versus in Asia, right? They love it over there. We just don't play their games. If I say Xbox should buy Square Enix, most people on Xbox side are like, why? Those games suck, right? And that's just a reality. Most players on Xbox don't care about those games. And it is what it is, right? So, but in Asia, they do resonate with those games, but that's a smaller market. And that mostly is because the markets have to expand, right? Japan's very well established, great economy. That's not the case across all of Asia, right? Those markets have to develop enough to be able to say, I can afford to spend $600, $700, $800 on a console or $1,000 plus on a PC and go play these games, right? So that market isn't as big. That's just a headache for them to overcome. And so if this is a great thing for them to say, however, their content would have to match that. They tried this by buying Western studios, right? And that did not work for them, mostly because of their decisions, right? They decided, hey, we need to have all these additional things in the game instead of just make the game. Now, again, even those games, a Crystal Dynamics is going to have to follow the Sony model and say, okay, our games have to look great, play great, have great story development. And they did a pretty good job, and that may make it less profitable, right? That's a headache to overcome. But I think the entire industry is going to start having this reckoning. You can't just keep expecting it to expand when there's no market to expand to, right? It's not like we're going to add another 3 billion people that are just going to start it is what it is. At some point you have saturated, and now you have to kind of figure out how you're going to market this. This is a problem across the industry though. Sony is saying the same thing, that Sony PlayStation players are not enough. We have to go to PC. right? Because we're running out of room here, and our games are taking too much to make, and we need to get more revenue, right? This is across the industry. It's now this reckoning will happen across everybody. At some point, you'll have to say, is it worth it? Is it worth it for the God of War ship animation, like the boat, animation? Is that necessary, right? That will take 2 months for like 20 people to go make happen. Do we need to spend that money? Is that really that big of a deal, right? But this is what we have in the industry, right? They set that standard. Sony made that the thing. So now it's kind of coming to a head, right? So at some point you have to say, well, good enough is good enough. Maybe games don't need to be ridiculous. Cut your budgets, just put the game out, right? And that might be okay. That's something people will have to figure out as they go through the industry, figuring out whether they can sustain or not. Square wants to play in the big boy leagues, fair enough, but that's going to take making a game that everybody in the world will want to buy. You're going to have to eclipse 10 million sales. Will they do that? Maybe, maybe not, right? So they have to kind of work through that. Most of their games, they tend to sell okay, but they're going to have to really go far in if they want to have a 200-300 million budget for a game or something like that, right? And that's fine. So this is just an interesting area. I can understand where he's coming from. The whole blockchain thing, that's a whole other story. But where they're coming from, they're recognizing that their games are mostly played Asia. That's fair. But to make that more resonate with other markets, it may be tough for them because the mindset is different. Asia likes those kind of epic people things, and West doesn't. We're not like that. It's more stoicism that resonates in the West, and that mind shift may just never happen here. Right? We may never have that large market, for Japanese type style games. Now, if you look at somebody equivalently, let's say you take Capcom. Capcom has shifted that. They've already done that, right? So they have games like Resident Evil. They don't make those games Japanese. They're pretty wide market appeal, right? And that works. It works because it doesn't like hammer down the very Japanese mode or Asian mode, and everybody seems to like them fine, right? They could do something like that. That's totally viable. I don't know if they will, right? This is a very interesting topic from a long strategic roadmap for all publishers to see what they do. How do they deal with this price escalation? Square has also increased to 70. Most of the other publishers there have not yet, right? And Square is obviously running into financial issues, and that's why they're doing it. I understand where he's coming from. It's not an easy problem to solve, though, right? Their content is very, very Japanese. For them to switch that, they would have to come up with something that would be appealing to Western markets. Where if I ask the average Xbox gamer, the average US gamer, UK gamer, would you want to play the next Square Enix game? It should be absolutely. That's not what I get. Most people could care less about Square Enix.
But you gotta let me ask you this, or give you a little pushback here, right? A little bit. And just let me ask you thoughts on this. We already have other companies. Square maybe. Final Fantasy is gigantic, right? But they've painted themselves into a corner by doing these exclusivity deals, by not cultivating new audiences anywhere else. They have not gone outside the box. We've seen other very Japanese games, very Japanese companies break out of that mold, like Sega with the Yakuzas, Atlas with Persona, which now is hit, right? We got Bandai Namco coming out of nowhere, making much more. I don't know if Square necessarily expects to sell, like Last of Us type numbers out of this, but if they had actually taken the time and made better decisions to cultivate an audience, they could be pushing the same way into the West. Like you said, I agree with you. I'm one of these people that likes Japanese style games, right? So I've been calling for them nonstop. I want them to come over. But when Square does this to themselves, I have a hard time sympathizing with them when they've put themselves in this position with a lot of decisions that they could have looked right next door at some of their neighbors and gone, hey, do you not agree that they have done nothing to cultivate? So this kind of feels like, hey, now we're crying because everybody else has kind of moved on. And all of a sudden we're looking around going, oh, we put all of our eggs with Sony and it didn't work out so well with us.
One example too, real quick, is of a niche kind of genre that's grown because cultivating the audience has been Souls genre.
Yes.
With Bandai Namco, and look at Elden Ring now as most popular game besides now Call of Duty, but this year, and going on meeting gamers on another level, right? And that wouldn't have happened if Elden Ring was exclusive to a platform, which Bandai Namco had done for a long time for different deals with different platform holders. But
hmm
when you have an IP, like to Pong's point, like Final Fantasy, and you
Yep.
start gatekeeping that brand, especially as console gaming in the US is like 50-50 pretty much between Xbox and
Yep.
PlayStation, right? US is one of the biggest markets. So,
It is.
and
It
if
is,
you
yep.
want to expand your audience in a market, it's always the wrong move for me long term thinking. Maybe short term, like if you're thinking short term investment, return on investment short term. But when you're thinking about growing an audience and growing a brand long term, it's always
Yep.
a bad decision to not cultivate those audiences and kind of cannibalize yourself on what your future potential is by not releasing things to the public. And now they make those
Yep.
decisions, obviously, about like, well, we're going to take the short term security, right, of this investment from Sony or from Nintendo or whoever is paying for marketing or exclusivity on a game,
Yep.
helping fund a game, and they're saying, well, this is going to give us a security blanket here. We're gonna know we got that, but then what would the potential have been for those brands? You know what I mean? Like one thing you could look at, right, with a lot of the Call of Duty talk with the Xbox. I would argue that it would be bad for the Call of Duty brand actually as a whole if Call of Duty ended up becoming an Xbox exclusive, right? It would end up doing worse overall
Mhm.
than if it was everywhere else. And I think what they're doing with one of the most popular JRPGs, one of the forefathers of JRPGs, and the most popular name in
Yep.
JRPGs, gatekeeping it to one platform for so long has kind of been a detriment to their own growth, right?
Well, I mean, the majority of them are now in on Xbox. A lot of them on Game Pass. So you could have played a bunch of them. I think 14 is one of the ones that hasn't made it over. 16 is going to be exclusive. The remake for 7 is not. We don't know what that deal is with Sony as far as how long that's going to be exclusive to them. And that's fair. It is possible that would help. How much? And I'm sure they see the numbers, especially with Game Pass. How well did that do? Did it attract customers on Xbox? I don't know what those numbers are myself, but I'm assuming it's not that great. And that unfortunately is a thing, right? You also have to look at it from, if I'm going to put a game out and the majority of my customers are in not the US market, because that's probably the case for Final Fantasy, I need to be on a platform that is everywhere, right? Market share of Xbox outside the US it's woefully pathetic.
Sure.
It is very, very bad. Right. So if I wanted to be in Malaysia or Indonesia, it's just not there. It's just not there. Right. It's PlayStation or bust. Right. So you have to look at it from that perspective for them too and say, well, the majority of our customers are here. I'm going to go with that. Right. That is a whole other discussion from a market perspective that Sony has way too much market power, but that's a different thing. Right. I agree that they could try as long as they have the ability to fund it. Why not? Microsoft could go in and also do the same thing and say, hey, we'll fund Final Fantasy 17 and you can put that on ours for a year or 3 months or whatever. The norm that Phil seems to have nowadays is pretty small period of exclusivity.
Very small.
Right. And that's fine. That's okay. So that's certainly a viable thing. I think they're starting to pivot to Japan now, right? So that 16 deal, I'm sure, happened years ago, and that's something that they weren't ready to actually go in. This being Xbox, to Square and say, hey, we can help make that game happen. But as we've seen, Square has been in financial trouble for the last, say, 5 years, right? They've been in trouble, and so for them to say, hey, Sony, can you help us do this? It does not surprise me, right? And Sony is a natural place for them to be because of that market share in the Asian markets. So I don't begrudge them that happened. Now, if Microsoft does the right things and says, hey, we have good enough market share, we're at 30-40% in those Asian territories, then it becomes a viable option, right? Then it becomes very viable. The other alternative is Microsoft could go acquire them, right? That is another way to get that content onto Game Pass and onto their system, right? So I understand that we want to pile on them. I generally tend to find that they make those decisions based on data they have. Some of that is, yes, kind of stupid, but in this case, it just kind of makes sense to me. The majority of their market is there, and it's PlayStation territory, right? If they could put their games on Nintendo, they would do that. But a lot of their games tend to have problems
That's
running
interesting
on Nintendo.
saying
That's
now,
why they have.
they're saying now though that it's not enough. right?
Yeah, exactly. It's not. And then they're going to try to expand. And it's not even that. They have to go to the Western market. They have to, like you're saying, the US is a big market, right?
Mhm.
And if those games don't resonate here, that's not good for them, right? So they have to find a way to make it resonate. They have to find a way to get that out here. And maybe it is bringing it to Xbox. That is a big chunk of the user base. And they should look at it. And they are starting to see that, which is good. And over the last, say, 2-3 years, we have seen an opening with Xbox, right? They brought Outriders into Game Pass. They allowed Crystal Dynamics to work on an Xbox game. So that has been happening, right? So hopefully there'll be more of that. A lot of their Final Fantasy games came to Game Pass, which is awesome. And then we'll see where that goes. Right? Hopefully it does develop into more. The rest of the stuff they're looking at acquiring studios. They're looking at investments from outside into their studios. That's a very interesting one. I don't know what that would look like, but it obviously seems like they're running out of money. That's really the thing, right?
Yeah.
Well,
And-
isn't it ironic that they offloaded, Crystal Dynamics and Square Montreal and Eidos Montreal and stuff
Eidos,
like
yeah.
that? So it seems like they had at what would be the best approach to cater to the Western market under their watch, and then they just kind of let it
Exactly, it is
fester
very odd.
and fall apart,
Right.
kind of thing. So they only have themselves to blame to some extent, but
Plus,
Yeah.
why did they sell so cheap?
Well, the other
Yeah,
thing
exactly.
too, I would have to question Square on is some of their analytics when they are looking at these things. Because if you're looking at, for one thing, okay, if you're going to say what's the last big Final Fantasy release they had day and date on Xbox was Final Fantasy 15, right?
Yep.
Xbox was in a horrible place at that time as a whole,
Yep.
right? Final Fantasy 7 Remake was the biggest Final Fantasy thing that's happened in a long time. Final Fantasy 14 is not on Xbox as well. So you look at Final Fantasy 15, if you're only looking at that really for your big comparison numbers, a lot of Xbox One games didn't do very well, including even some of their own exclusives, right? So you look at that, then you talk about, okay, well, Final Fantasy 7 Remake, we can't really look at that because it's not even on the platform. You can't look at Final Fantasy 16, which is coming up, about any of that as well. And if you're only comparing your old releases about coming into Game Pass and stuff that people have already played on other platforms or have been missing out on or whatever, just it's not as big of a sale if you look at Dragon Quest or something like that. But what I would argue is if they could look at what's going on right now with Persona, and that would be a good example of something that
Yeah, I was
be
just kind of looking at their sales. So Final Fantasy VII Remake has only sold, their last report was 5 million. Final Fantasy 15, which is the game on both systems.
It's like 11-ish, right? It's a
Yeah,
little
it's
over
like
10.
over 10 million as of early 2022.
Yeah.
And I was looking at Kingdom Hearts 3. I think Kingdom Hearts 3 would be a good introduction if they're trying to get those Western views because it has a lot of those
Disney,
Western
right?
characters mixed with Final Fantasy. So if you want to introduce people to those JRPGs,
Yeah.
I think you need more games like that to be like, hey, look, we got Western characters in this. You know these characters, you may love them or whatever. Let's try this new game. And that's sold, I think, 7 million. So they're games that they've kind of put on both systems sell more, and they're I don't know. It's just interesting. Just looking at Kingdom Hearts 3 as an example there.
Yeah, I mean, the great thing that Microsoft has is now Game Pass, right? Because of that, they can say, hey, we can actually partner, create a deal, and you can bring your game day and date. And that will allow them to fund things and eliminate that fear of your platform doesn't have enough, right? Because they can just fund the development and it's all set, right? And that way, if it makes money on Game Pass, it doesn't matter because they've already been paid, right? The extra sales.
I'm sure Disney probably had a big part of Kingdom Hearts 3, but
yeah, no, and Kingdom Hearts is a totally different thing. But I'm saying, say they wanted to make a Final Fantasy 17 and it's multi-plat, but they come in and say, hey, we'll fund, let's say half the development cost, right? But put it in Game Pass day and date, right? That takes away so much of a headache for Square Enix, right? As to how do they come up with the funds. It's like, here you go. And we're not taking it away from anybody. Put it on every platform. We don't care. We just want it in Game Pass, right? And that's one of the things that comes with that mind share. And hopefully that's also where Sony will end up and say, hey, we could also make that same deal and we'll put it in PlayStation Plus, was a premium, right? Yeah. So and that way they can do the same.
The issue here is PlayStation's deals are not the same as Game Pass deals. PlayStation deals are 2-year exclusivity deals, and you're not allowed to go into a service like Game Pass as well because of caveats to the contract, right? So
which is annoying, but Yeah, and this is an area like it's funny. Like the CMA came up with all this stuff against Xbox competing, and I'm like, you understand that Sony does all this crap right now, and like they're blocking access. So if Stadia Pro wanted to have one of these Sony games, they can't, because it's blocked from being a subservice. If Luna wanted, it can't have it. Like, do you understand that all these newcomers can't do anything because Sony keeps blocking things, and their network effect sucks? It's terrible for everybody else. But it's funny, right? But I would love regulation on that. It's like you cannot block access to the third party.
There's actually
games
language within
like that.
the
It's just ridiculous.
CMA went after Google for that very specific thing. When you have
terrible,
when you have dominant market share in a region like they do in the UK, to add additional things to the contracts that don't directly affect your consumers is not supposed to be allowed. It's actually abuse of dominant market share. And this is one of the reasons that they're being sued in the UK, because it's in the after effects of all of this is I end up costing their own consumers more money.
But at the same time
that goes somewhere.
But at the same time that comes back to Square signing that deal. Like, I guess Square at the end of the day they see more income with that deal.
You have
that
to
Sony's
blame
giving them money. So it's like,
when was that signed,
do we make that money up with Xbox sales alone, or do we get more money with
But I would blame Square as just bad business sense, because they have not proven to be making good decisions.
They're highly risk averse.
It's whatever the projections are, and if they don't see that as worth it, then
I mean, that deal was probably done in 2017, 18, right? Because it was revealed 2020. Is that right? I think it was revealed 2020, right? So that deal was probably 2017, 17 or 18 when Xbox was like on deathbed, right? So in 2017, there was the potential Xbox was shut down, right? So that wasn't a time they were going to make an investment, right? So at this point, it just made sense. Hey, we'll just go to PlayStation because that's the place where we can put this, right? If they're willing to make an investment, that's awesome for us. So that's what Square did, right? Now that's changed. Microsoft is willing to open that wallet up, so they do have a potential option there, right? So the next one, they could have a bidding war and say, hey, Sony, you want it? Okay, cool. Xbox, you want it? Right? Who's giving me more money? Who's giving me a better deal? Right? And that's good for the industry. We want that, right? So, and they would want that. But that's that. So I don't know. I mean, like that Final Fantasy 16 is there. Final Fantasy 7 remake, same kind of thing. That was happening when Xbox was really down. So
the one thing on that one doesn't make sense is it seems like they re-upped on that exclusivity agreement, right? Yeah.
Or Square doesn't have the money to put it to do the work to put it on Xbox.
Which is
again, without
a major
Final
publisher, it's pretty embarrassing if you can't afford to do a port of it.
Without Final Fantasy 14, they would have already been toast. They already would have been sold a long time ago. If Final Fantasy 14 didn't have the comeback that they've had, that has been printing money for them, and they tried to use their Western divisions to fund their Eastern divisions. Again, a lot of this is backwards thinking, and again, it's not a piling on per se of Square Enix, because I love Square. Square Enix goes back in my history. Again, I started JRPGs way back when they first started, and Square was a huge part of it. But the point of fact is they haven't evolved in their thinking through the years, and we find them now here because of a lot of the bad decisions that they've made of not looking at the world market as, hey, we might not be strong, we might not have the best sales here, this console may not do it for us, but we have to try, because the inconsistency in delivering their content to Xbox, even though it has shown up eventually at some point down the road, that inconsistency doesn't work with most consumers. You've got to be there. They've got to know, hey, if I play Final Fantasy 8, I know I'm going to get Final Fantasy 9 to continue that story. Not, well, I just don't know. Like, do I want to invest that time into that Final Fantasy? Like, that happens a lot. And then you've got these random things where they just throw certain games, but not other games. Like, recently we got a brand new IP from them in the strategy genre, which is as niche as you can possibly get, right? That's as niche as you can possibly get. They give us over on Xbox that game, but then one of the greatest tactics strategy games of all time, Tactics Ogre remake, is not coming to Xbox. Like, wait, why? You've got this known quantity here. You're not going to put that here. You're going to try this brand new IP, and it doesn't do well. Like, well, of course it's not going to do well. It's got no fandom. It's got no fan base whatsoever. It's got zero. And so what are you going to do? I don't know. Like I said, it's not piling on. It's just something that we've talked about plenty, just from the outside looking in. Again, the big view, looking at it, it just doesn't, their decision making seems like they've got the old mindset, the really old mindset from way back in the day, and they have never evolved out of that. And it's cost them now. And now we're to this point where they're making a statement.
But is that basically because of like the decisions they made were in a time frame when Xbox was kind of coming back, right? So, right, they're doing this in 2015, 16, 17, 18, maybe even 19, and Xbox is finally starting to come out of their, misery mode and saying, okay, hey, we can actually invest. And maybe we would see that in 24, 25, 26,
maybe
when those games start to come out that Xbox has invested.
Yeah.
Because we heard from Sarah Bond that they have a strong partnership with Square, right? But we don't see the fruits of that yet, right? Because games take time. They just take time. And so whatever they've started in the 2020 to 2021 timeframe, it's going to be years before we see that, right? But hopefully we see the fruit of that, right? The next big thing coming from them might be something that's direct Game Pass. That would be fantastic.
That would be Hargeet.
Yeah.
Again, the one glaring omission to me is Final Fantasy 14.
Yep.
Phil was on stage, promised
exactly.
Like that's your moneymaker.
Yep.
That like everybody knows it. It's got a Western audience, right?
Yep.
It's across the globe. It's one of the best it's one of the best MMOs out there right now. And you still have not taken the time. Even though Microsoft removed the bear, there was problems on Microsoft's side with authenticating patches and that kind of stuff, and they had a totally different system that wasn't working. They got rid of all that. Phil came on stage and said Final Fantasy 14 is coming, and all these years later, it's printing money for you, and you still have not dropped it over on Xbox. It's like that's
it's bananas.
Frustrating.
Yeah, it'd be nice if it comes out, but yeah. I mean, I also want to be careful. That stuff was said when about 2019, 2020.
Yeah.
And this was pre-pandemic, right? And then the pandemic hit, and the major thing that gets hit when that happens is hardware development, right? So if you have to put on new hardware, that becomes a headache for your team, right? Because you have to be those things, if you don't know, dev kits are in a lab. You are not allowed to take them home, right? So you have to be on-prem to do that work. And there just might have been no way that's not happening. Yeah. And so it might have pushed it out. Just trying to be fair to them.
Yeah, no, and I understand. It's just we've given them a lot. Trust me, Hargeet, I've been because I've owned every system. This is again, I picked one system, but I've owned every system in between. Right now, I'm Xbox only right now, but I eventually want to get a PlayStation. So I've been through all these wars with Square. Like, come on, guys, just do it. And we just did get word, to be fair, that they got their new server set up and running for Final Fantasy 14 in the Western side of things. So maybe that's another key point of
that's coming along.
Yeah, it's coming along. So there's a lot there. Hey, welcome, Psychonauts, brother. Great to have you on the show. How you doing, man? How you doing? I'm the captain tonight, by the way, if you didn't know. Look at me.
Oh, okay.
Look at me.
You're the captain now? All right.
Yeah,
very good.
Awesome. What's going on, man? Glad to have you.
Not much. Yeah, man. I've just been busy lately and playing some COD before earlier today. Figured out, I don't know if you saw in the DMs, but I have been having issues. They refunded the Call of Duty Modern Warfare. I guess it's a bug that has happened to some people.
Cool. Great.
So yeah, and then so I just
this
had to
is
rebuy the damn thing.
About the only time PlayStation gives refunds, I guess, or was this Xbox? You got on Xbox?
Or Xbox. Okay. Xbox. I don't have a PS5 yet, but yeah. So yeah, so that happened today. So I've been having fun, playing a little bit of the multiplayer, and then fucking
awesome.
Yeah.
Did you get booted a lot? Did you get crash a lot to the dashboard?
I crashed once. Out of, I think I played about 24 matches. I crashed once.
Okay, that's not bad. We had a crash fest last night. It was fun.
Yeah, they said Infinity War said on their Twitter it's like a party issue, but I've also crashed solo, so I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, I was
how that goes. So excuses are all over the place. Whatever.
Yeah.
Just fix it. Okay, Infinity War, just fix it. Whatever the hell it is.
So I hear you guys talking about Square Enix. That's interesting.
Yeah. What'd you think, Psycho?
Which topic of Square are we talking about?
Just coming out and saying that they need to go worldwide, that all of a sudden they've realized that Japan is not enough for them and that they do have to expand their audience outward, and that's what because it's getting expensive.
Yeah, I mean it's they say that, but yet they keep fucking games from coming on the Xbox. But here we go. I mean, they spent a record number of what is it, 792 million for production of their games this year that ended in March. So it's like they're funding the games to make these games, but then you got exclusive deals for Sony for 2 years for Forspoken, supposedly just a year for.
And that's a very
Final Fantasy
Western
16.
themed game, I would add as well, right? So Forspoken is one that I could see being a hit worldwide, but again, it is another 2-year exclusive deal.
Yeah, but it's like whatever the money that was offered up to them, is it enough to keep another console from being able to play it? Look at Final Fantasy VII Remake. We've been waiting for that game because the 1-year exclusive deal ended around April, and it's still nowhere to be found. So did that also get a 2-year deal, or did Sony just say, here's, let's wrap that up for 1 more year, and then we'll go from there? I mean, I love Square games. I like Dragon Quest is probably one of my favorite IPs from them, and it's just the fact that Dragon Quest 12 is going to be coming out possibly next year or 2024, and that, who the hell knows, that could be gatekeep by Sony again, because
Have they done Dragon Quest exclusives?
Dragon Quest
That
is usually either only on Nintendo and PlayStation.
Yeah,
because we got 13 on.
We got
or
11
12,
on.
12.
We got 11 on Game.
Whatever it is.
11
Yeah.
came on Game Pass, but it came like 2 years after the game came out.
Oh,
right.
okay. Yeah.
So
And they were impressed. They were happy.
yes,
with
they
the
made a
engagement.
comment about
Yes.
it, about how happy they were with all the new players
Yeah.
that discovered it because of Game Pass. I don't know if that's just marketing speak because they're trying to, support their partners or whatever. But I mean, they came out and publicly said that they were happy with that. So
yeah. And the Dragon Quest Builders too, I think that came out
Like 2 years later, yeah.
Was it 2 years?
Or
For
a year, 2 years, something like that. I picked it up day one on the Switch, but then
Oh, okay.
and then
so-
it came to Xbox like a year or two later.
Yeah.
And to
So,
Game
I mean,
Pass.
yeah. And that game, those two are probably my favorite. The one's an RPG, and the other one's like a RPG Minecraft builder. Yeah, which I love that. That's just right up my alley because it kind of like blends the two, and I have a lot of fun with that. So
Yeah.
I just wanted to see more games from Square coming onto Xbox. I mean, that's not, they say that they need to be worldwide because these games are expensive. Well, stop keeping it only to 1 or 2 consoles. You have 3 consoles and PC. So there and if you put it onto Xbox and you put it into Game Pass, that's another venue where people can be exposed by
Right.
30 plus million people that are already playing that. So
I think best case scenario though, really for them, is they are kind of lost. And I think the best case is somebody, whether Sony finally puts a ring on it after all this time, or Nintendo. I truly think Nintendo could come in and swoop them back up again.
Why not
was such a
Microsoft?
big part. Because management styles don't mix at all. And I think they've got better relationships, and they've got better styles that fit with Xbox's philosophy already in Japan that they could go for. And I just don't think Square does. I really don't.
I think they also were looking for more than just IP out of like a Japanese publisher or something that they acquired.
Yes.
Like they're looking for a bigger package instead of just a
what
few.
I want to know from Hargeet, what if you could pick one Japanese publisher for them to really partner with and maybe acquire, would it be Square or would it be someone else? Who would be the best
I'd
fit?
say Square is the best target right now. The next target I would say would be Sega.
Is
I
that
mean, if they
because
could-
of financial reasons or because of because of fit or IP or development or?
So if you look at what they're saying is that they can't sustain what they're doing, right?
Mhm.
Game Pass eliminates that entire problem, right? Because at
Right.
that point, it's really just your employees need to be paid and the game comes out in Game Pass. They don't have to care about that anymore, right? They sell wherever they sell, it doesn't matter. They could stay multi-plat, it still wouldn't matter, right? Because they suddenly get a whole bunch of people who have Game Pass say, hey, this is a first party title, I'm going to try it. And if they like it, heck, what the heck, they'll just play it, right? So it eliminates that whole problem for them. Microsoft's biggest hole is JRPGs. They just don't have it. They just don't have that in their catalog, right? And to get into that market, they need to get somebody.
I
You
would
could look
say
at-
to
Go
that
ahead.
though that they've had so many contracts signed with PlayStation at this point. Like if Xbox bought them today, we still wouldn't see these games.
Call
for like
of
4
Duty
years.
has a marketing agreement with PlayStation.
Yeah, but they already
Bethesda had two
they get,
games
Xbox gets
exclusive.
that game. Like
exclusive to PlayStation. It doesn't matter. None of that matters, right? The assumption that a contract that they have with a company matters. They bought Rare from Nintendo. It doesn't matter. It's ultimately what matters for business for those two entities. And for Square, this would be a massive jump because they now never have to worry about money. They just have to worry about creating content, right? And that is a massive appeal to them. Sony is still a rigorous cycle. They don't have that same mindset. It is still about get the content to a quality level and get it out there at $70, $100, whatever. That's their model right now, right? Microsoft doesn't have that model. It's whatever you want to make that, and we'll put it in Game Pass, right? That's that is way more appealing to any publisher, any studio than what Sony's going to offer, right? So to me, that is a natural option. Nintendo has said they're not interested right now, but that could be bullshit. We don't, it's possibly bullshit, right?
Yep.
So, and they have a strong partnership. The thing that Microsoft would have to navigate is, would those games still be open to other platforms? And Microsoft seems to be open to that, right? Like, Triangle Strategy or Octopath Traveler, those came on Nintendo, right? And that's fine. And they could continue that path, but it would also come to Xbox. It would also come to Game Pass, right? So I think it's a very good option for them because, as you said, Final Fantasy is kind of the biggest property when it comes to JRPGs, right? It's a well-known 20+ year thing, and it's very hard to beat that. That's why Call of Duty is such a big thing. It's a well-known established thing, right?
And that's in the West, because I think Dragon Quest is actually #1 in the East, right?
Yep.
As far as
which they own, right?
Yeah,
Dragon Quest is part of their portfolio. They have small to big, right? So that's pretty good. And then they have Kingdom Hearts, which is also fantastic. It's another big series that is well recognized, right? But so to me, that's a great one. The other one I would say is Sega. But Sega, there might be some headaches as far as it's very well recognized as its own platform, and Japan might be unhappy with that idea. So would have to see. And Square was something Microsoft was 10 seconds away from buying, right? When they started the Xbox, they were this close to signing that deal. And the shareholders said, no, we want more money. And they walked away, right? But they were very close to owning Square as one of their publishers right at the beginning. So it's not like that isn't a partnership.
And they were just as close to Capcom in 2018 as well.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, and to me, Capcom is not as good a target because it has many games that are kind of already Western focused, right? So so to me, I'm looking for those JRPGs, right? So Bandai is cool, but it's the biggest Japanese publisher, independent publisher. And so I don't know if after ABK, they're going to be like, yeah, go ahead. No, I think they're going to be like scrutinized to hell. And so they're not going to allow the biggest one. So I think Square, which is very small right now, because it just shed out a lot of its studios and IPs. So it's come back, down a bit. It's in that right ballpark where they could, pick that up and add that JRPG.
Do you
catalog.
think
To me,
that
that's a good
statement they released today could be like kind of a hint that they're looking to maybe partner
I
with
think it's
somebody
clearly
or
a hint.
something?
They're looking to be acquired, right? Those kind of words, that's what they're looking to do. They're looking to be acquired.
I gotta
Which
give a shout out to Chris
does it? I don't
Jones,
know.
because he's been on the Square Enix train for like a year. Saying, I'm like, you're crazy. It's gonna be Sony that buys Square if anybody. But he's like, no, Xbox. It's the next one. He said, count on it. So you know what I mean.
I like your thoughts, Hargeet. I want to see the world burn. So I want to see Twitter burn. So I'm all about it.
You make a good case on a lot of things I haven't really considered there. You know what I mean? But for me, I still think Sega would be like it.
Yeah, Sega.
I like Sega. I love Sega. That's a great one.
Financially, I think
the Yakuza,
Square makes sense.
The Personas, right? Great games, awesome. But like Square is just so recognized as that JRPG leader.
Well, for
that
sure.
just
100%
definitely
go get it.
Like Square. I see Square for the fact that they can purchase them without being scrutinized to the point like a Bandai or a Sega, where it's very well known and heavily publishing games in the East. So if they don't want that, what they're going through right now with ABK, Square could be one of those studios that they could grab and fulfill their needs for JRPGs and everything. And even if they make these games multi-plat, like Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest,
and they should continue to put them wherever it's possible.
It doesn't matter, because at the end, people that have Game Pass are the ones that benefit from it.
Exactly.
So it's like we're getting to a point where this exclusive, like some games, like your first party that you built, like Halo, Gears, Forza, those are going to always be first party exclusives. but when you like things that are been well established, I think those are going to get to the point where they're going to stay multi-plat. So these deals and to appeal and have a wide audience, so others, so it's just sustainable for the companies that they purchase within Xbox. So I think that's
I had missed the super chat actually from Chris Jones for $2. Appreciate you, Chris. He said, "I still say Xbox going to buy Square Pong."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. You called it, and I
Yeah.
told you I'd give you your flowers if it comes through,
Yeah.
brother. I told you that.
whoa.
We will give you your flowers. We
Yeah.
will have you probably on Xbox Ultimate to talk about it if it goes down. All right, trust me, we will give you that. No problem, because you were one of the early ones. Fuzzy, I haven't heard your voice in a long time, brother. Wrap this conversation up, and we can move on to something else. But what are your final thoughts on Square? And you can even bring this acquisition talk in, because you love reading tea leaves, brother. You love it. You had a lot of different. Well, I'll say you have hypothesized and prophesized a lot of different dealings out
Just
there.
say
but
he's a
this-
conspiracy theorist. That's okay.
Yeah, he kind of is. He kind of is. Go ahead, Fuzzy. What do you think, man?
I think as far as Xbox acquiring Square, I would love to see that for the similar reasons of like what you're saying. Watch Twitter burn to some extent as far as the meltdowns from a particular fan base. Just because it almost seems like Square offloaded a lot of their Western studios to kind of be more attractive to somebody like Sony, be one more affordable and two less of overlap, because Sony already has a lot of Western geared action RPGs or games along those lines. So it wouldn't make sense to have Tomb Raider when you already have Uncharted. It wouldn't necessarily make sense for them to have something like Deus Ex when you have a cross between like Killzone and some of the other like Infamous and things along those lines. So it would be interesting. I would prefer to see Sega or Capcom. Yeah, there isn't as much of a Western focus with Capcom because they're more mainstream, I guess you could say.
Oh yeah.
I think the Sega fan in me from my earlier years is why I would love to see Xbox acquire them, and then just the good relationship they've had over the years. It's kind of as Sega bowed out, Xbox kind of slid into their former position to some extent. So having Sega basically be Xbox East would be a cool approach, but I don't know. There's something about Square that just seems like they've kind of lost their way, or just I don't know if it's just that upper management needs to move on and let the younger management kind of move up and take control type of thing. But it just seems like there's more disorganization behind the scenes that I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing for Xbox to come swing over and take them over. But like I said, it would be entertaining on Twitter nonetheless to see if something like that happens. And then we wouldn't have to necessarily worry about Final Fantasy being on Xbox, although be it honoring existing contracts, it might take a year or two or something to that. But other than that, I think Square, their big thing now is I was almost kind of wanting to predict that they would be more of a merger with someone else that's over there. I don't think Sega would be the one that would want to acquire Square or merge with them. I could see possibly because of things going up continuously for Capcom possibly stepping up and acquiring them type of deal. But
I would say to that though that like usually with Xbox when they acquire someone they look for more than just IP.
Right.
Like with Bethesda they got the cloud stuff. With Activision they got mobile and some AI and some game engines. They look more for just IP. And I think Square is just kind of IP and publisher. They don't offer much else to Xbox.
They're the
at
biggest
that point.
publisher of mobile games in Japan.
Would be very
Yeah.
And
And that is
considering
one of the
mobile
areas
focus, that would be
one of the areas Microsoft is looking to get into.
Okay.
And it's by factors. It's like 2 to 3 times higher.
What
than
is
other ones.
what is their popular mobile games? Because I'm kind of out of the loop on that stuff. But are these games like global or just like exclusive in the East?
I don't know. That's a good question. We have to look.
Yeah.
Who, a
We have
publisher?
to look. Right?
Yeah.
But they have hundreds
Yeah.
of mobile
Who?
games.
But it'd be
Who we got?
interesting. It'd be interesting, Fuzzy, because we talked. I think we actually talked about that on the shop one night. Fuzzy was
Mhm.
whether or not, because in the East, companies have been known more so to combine forces and merge together versus
Yeah.
outright acquisitions. And in like a Bandai Namco and Square Enix would
Yep.
be a power.
Koei Tecmo, right?
Yeah,
And
Koei
the-
Tecmo. Yeah.
Yeah, so and Konami is in an interesting position where they're very, very profitable, but not because of gaming.
Correct.
And they have plenty of games, but they
Yes.
don't have enough studios.
Right.
Oddly enough, Square Enix.
Right. Right.
So it's a
Yeah.
it's a viable option, right? That Konami comes in and says, well, hey, you know what? We're just going to buy you. And then, you know, we'll merge our catalogs together and we'll have plenty of studios to make all those Konami IPs that we are now outsourcing to other companies because we don't have people to make them.
Right.
Right. So
Oh yeah.
Get a Metal Gear
would be awesome.
JRPG. Let's go.
Let's
Yeah,
go.
yeah.
I just looked up the Square's games. Holy
Yeah.
fuck. They have for mobile games, holy shit. They have a
Yeah.
lot that's in Japan. Only a handful. We see some
Yeah,
like,
I don't think of them
Dragon
as like
Guard.
that because of what's here. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
and like I play Dragon Quest Tactics and I play so the one of the Final Fantasy games, I forget what it's called, but it's there's just those two that I play, but from here there's a lot. And if
Yeah.
Microsoft wants to get in that market, holy fuck.
Yep, and expand it, right? That's one of the things Square is asking to do, right? They
Mm.
have this. It's in Japan. They
Right.
need to expand that global,
Mhm.
right? And mobile is where the money's at, right? So,
Correct.
and guess who has a lot of infrastructure? You know, these are the things, right? If you want cloud infrastructure, well, it's a
Right.
very
Wow.
good partner to have, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I would
um,
argue too that if when Xbox is looking for a partner in Japan, which is there's been other big podcasts of and also I think it was Jeff Grubb on another show. I think was it on Bombcast? I can't remember where
Yeah,
he
I
said
think so.
that. That you know there was active discussions between Microsoft and actual Japanese publishers, right?
Yeah.
So if that's actually the case, and I'm looking at Xbox and what you need to do in Japan because that's where you're weakest. You know what I mean? You need brand recognition. You need a name, right,
Yep.
to stand behind. That's one reason I thought Sega would make a lot of sense because you could just be like,
yep.
Sega
Instant
could be the
credibility.
brand of
Instant
Xbox in
credibility.
Japan
Yes.
if you wanted to.
Yeah.
Xbox
But
East.
You could, in a
Instant
way,
East.
do that. I think Square holds a lot of credibility as well. You
Oh,
know,
yeah.
with gaming,
Sure.
and so I think you could do the same thing behind the Square name as
Yeah.
well. So
I totally agree on the Sega thing. That's why I would love to have them. But
Yeah.
I think that's going to be the thing where Japan might be kind of territorial about it.
mhm.
And so if it's an uphill battle, then it's not worth having. The other thing to look at is of those publishers, who's the one that's got troubles that wants to be acquired?
Right.
Sega's in great shape.
Yep.
Capcom's in awesome shape.
Yep.
Right.
Bandai's in great shape.
Yeah, Bandai's doing
Mhm.
awesome. They just got Elden Ring, right?
Yep.
That's massive hit for them. And Koei's doing really well too.
Yep.
And so
Yeah.
like Konami does not need money. They are making tons of money. So really it's just Square.
Square.
So,
Square. No, you bring up great points. I did not expect this conversation to go this long,
Yeah.
Hargeet, but you definitely brought up great points, and we've talked about this plenty, and that's why we love guests on here because you do bring a different perspective sometimes, and you know, again, that turns into these great discussions because we've
Yeah.
talked about this plenty, and I have said, Square is up there on my list. I just never thought it would happen because managerial style, I just don't think they mix. They're
Just
oil
because
water.
they've pissed us off for so long, Pong.
Maybe.
it
Yes,
very
that
well
be a
could
part.
be Sony buys them.
Yeah.
It's a
Yes.
very high possibility, right?
Yeah, right.
But I'm saying
exactly.
it is a good target for Microsoft as well.
Yeah, no, fantastic conversations, brothers. Love this talk, man. No, this was great, man. Like I said, much longer than I thought it was going to be. Let's hop into something else here real quick. Hargeet, have you had a chance to take a peek at the new Xbox, and I'll put it in quotes, new Xbox UI, and have you seen it at all?
I've seen images of
Yeah.
both of the versions
Yeah.
that are out there, and
Yeah.
I mean, it's not much of a change, and that's the thing, right? It's like,
Right,
what's
right.
the point? There's a mock-up from somebody else, and that looked way better. It was,
Yes.
the the bar is on the bottom as far as your normal UI stuff,
my
but the
favorite
rest of
one
it was
too.
just a game, and that looked fantastic, right?
Right.
Why not that? That would be way
Right.
better. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not, again, I don't necessarily care. It's the UI I use just to go start a game, right? But it would be nice if they're gonna make a change, then do something cool, and like, why not go with something like that? You know, the fan version instead of their version, because that looked way better to me. I like.
I think there's enough fan
up with, so.
feedback as well to say it's universally people want this, right? So this is something that should really take a look at. You can still, they can still implement the same system that they have, but just make it to where we have to hit the D-pad down once to see all that other stuff. You know what I mean?
Or they could go bigger and just let you kind of like give you 4 options or so, like you pick one, because like, or like customize a little more something, because like on Windows you could change it however the fuck you want. You could put your Windows logo on your right, you can put your shit in the middle, you can put it anywhere you want. So it's like, just give you some like customized options, like maybe make it yourself.
People are criticizing this one too a lot because it's like mostly advertising. And for COD, it's almost like they wanted to get this out before COD came out because they planned on doing all this.
The dashboard's always
I would love customization, right? Because one of the things you want to have is like, you know, maybe as a gamer you use this as a media hub as well, but it, you know, it becomes more challenging because you have to go into my games and apps and go find them. Instead, you could just say, you know what, the front page of my thing is the top 5 media apps, and so everybody in the family can easily go, oh, I want Netflix, right? It's right there, right? And that would be so awesome if you could just like have that customized and say, this is what I want my front page to be on all my boxes, right? So that way, if somebody wants to go to, you know, Hulu, it's just right there all the time.
Or if you want your guide on the right side of your screen instead of the left side, or if you want it at the top, just
like simple things like that, right? That would be so cool if they could
Mhm.
actually just do something like that. But what I've seen so far of it, it's the same thing we have today, and it doesn't like really add any value to me, right? They had a search on the top. Okay, that's cool.
Well, because I have the new update, and they made the tiles
you got it.
bigger.
Yeah,
they made
instead
it
of
bigger.
smaller.
I think we all have the update now. I think they pushed it out to the public.
It sounds like the Windows 8 thing, right?
Yeah, and it's right in the center of the. So I got the
can't do it.
dynamic background for Fallout. So I got the Fallout background, and it's like it's covered now. Before I'm like, what the fuck? And like I forget. I think it was Colbreel that was posting a couple people's ideas. The one that had the real sleek, slim,
awesome. That looked
all
great.
the tiles at the bottom. And you know, because they did that new update where you can put your pins back, but it's like so they have recently added Game Pass games, and then it's going to be your whatever you just added. Like I put my movies and games I play the most, but then it's like underneath all that, then you have all these like all this Game Pass, and it's like, why would I want that? I can go into Game Pass and have this same UI that they're just putting on the dashboard. It's just weird. It's like,
I'll be honest, I barely scroll down when I'm like on the dashboard. Like I just go to my games and apps, and that's it. It's
Right.
just like
before I had all my stuff. I had my rewards there, so I can go into it, so I can do my rewards. I had, you know, all the stuff put in there that I wanted on my dashboard. And now with the new update, they took all that's gone. It definitely looks like it's an ad. Especially, I know new release games that they'll have like couple tiles are going to have the same different pictures to kind of look like one big picture. They did that with Forza, and it looks like they're doing it the same thing with Call of Duty. But it's like you guys listen to your fan base on so many things except for this one thing.
Well, this one is like they took all the feedback and said, no, we're going to do the opposite, guys. That's what we're going to do. And
I know that they're going to have different iterations of this dash. So this is like the first one. And I think they said they're going to do 3 or maybe 3 different types. So this is one. So I'm hoping that they take the feedback and like, okay, no one's liking this one, let's go. And they can do the smaller tiles at the bottom, and then when you hover over with your controller with the cursor, and then you can enlarge that if that's what you're trying to do. So people, if you're sitting on the couch and you need to see and just enlarge it. It's kind of like what PlayStation does a little bit, correct? So kind of do that. Hey, they copy you for a lot of things. Why don't you copy them for once and utilize that their dashboard? I mean, there's nothing wrong. I like it with PlayStation.
Or
slim and
maybe they're putting more ads on there because they're going to start making gold free or whatever, like your online service. So like maybe that's just a way they kind of compensate for that. It's like, hey, we got more ads on here, but you're not paying for anything now.
Yeah.
Well,
I think they're
and
moving to the ad
when
more ad
when
revenue
they
anyways.
when they do that, I'll be more
Yeah.
accepting of the ads.
When they finally announce it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't know. Fuzzy, what do you've seen this now, and
Yeah.
we've talked about the UI. Again, for me, UI, I could care
Yeah,
less
sure.
to be that like I'm there so infrequently. Like I'm not sitting there looking at my dynamic background anyway. Would it be nice to see it? Of course it would. It'd be great. But do I honestly care? No, I don't. The one big thing I care about is the HDR switch when you go to a
Mhm.
game.
Yes.
Making my TV go through that, whether it's damaging or not, it feels awful when your TV's constantly
that
cycling
handshake?
between HDR. Yes, the handshake
That
thing
sucks.
just sucks. It sucks. I
Yeah.
wish they would fix that. But for you, Fuzzy, what do you think of what you've seen now?
Oh, it's terrible. I mean,
Yeah.
for me, all right. So
Terrible.
I have a bit of OCD. So I have
Right.
Right.
my
Mhm.
phone. It's an Android. I have the same wallpaper that I have on my PC, and it has a clean, unified look. I only
Right.
have the apps shown that I ever use. All the other stuff is hidden. If I need to search for it, I can use the search bar. Otherwise, I don't want to see it. If I don't use it, I don't want to see it, or I uninstall it. I'm also tired of them constantly putting that what do you call them? The avatar, the old ones. I get it. Some people still use it. I don't. Don't keep putting it on my goddamn console every time I uninstall it, and then you do an update and you put it back on. Get
Mhm.
rid of it. Just either shit or get off the pot. Like seriously, that annoys me. And it's like I'm not as worried about the ads, but at least make the ads where I've noticed that if you hit the lines button, or what I call like the start button,
The
you can
hamburger menu or
adjust
whatever, yeah.
how like see more ads like this, or see more things like this, or see less of these things. I don't want to see ads for games I don't typically play. Like get that shit out of there. Like
Get a
seriously,
spark
just
with
put
Fuzzy.
like if I'm into racing games and I haven't played a basketball game in 2 years, I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it in my Xbox app either. Like when they have the things for the games you follow, I can't get rid of Madden. Like I haven't played Madden since 21. I can't get rid of it. I don't want to see that in the app. If you see it, if I see it in the app, it's like I'm gonna uninstall the app because I've complained to them. I'm like, why can't I unfollow this? I don't want to see Madden. I don't play Madden anymore. I don't want to see it. But all of that aside, it annoys me. It's to the point where I wind up having it where I have both consoles on, and I'll flip more so to my PlayStation until I'm ready to go directly into one of the games on my Xbox. But it just annoys me to no end, to the point where I don't even want to turn the thing on. Like it's that bad. I know
Fuzzy.
I'm weird on this, but
I wasn't
it just,
expecting this.
like if I pay money for stuff, don't keep effing with it. Like leave it alone. Like it's fine the way it is now. Don't change it.
Yeah.
Like I should be able to decline the change. Like Windows 11 is out. I'm still on Windows 10. I'm going to stay on Windows 10 until I decide I'm going to go to Windows 11.
Fuzzy,
Yeah,
Fuzzy,
just-
Fuzzy
Fuzzy,
wants
would
the
you-
blades.
would-
He wants
Fuzzy,
the blades.
would you pay $1 extra a month for a premium UI experience where you could customize and get rid of all that stuff? No ads.
$1 a month?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really like putting that out there, but yeah, goddamn, if I'm paying, it better be exactly what I won't say exactly what I want, but as
Yeah.
close as possible. Like
Right.
I don't want to see an ad. If I'm paying you money, I don't ever want to see an ad. Don't do this Hulu crap where it's like, oh, pay for no ads. Oh, by
That's
the way,
what I-
well,
that's
pay
what
a
I
little
was
bit more for no ads.
Yeah.
Pay a little bit more for no ads. Like, I don't
Game
want to see that
Pass.
crap.
$15.99
yeah.
or
Yes.
$1 with ads.
Exactly. Why not go to that? No, we don't want to give them any ideas like that.
Yeah.
If it-
I
on
just
this
want my
track,
5
though-
games that I play
Sony will next.
pinned, and that's it. Like I can pin 5 games on my PlayStation, like the ones that will always be there, and then it rotates with the other 3 beyond that type of thing. Why can't Xbox just do that? Just
Right.
I don't I
There's
don't
a
want to
pin
see any more
section, but,
Fortnite.
like,
I don't play Fortnite
every time I
like that.
pin my shit, it's just like it seems like it goes away every time they update the dashboard. So I'm just like, I just
Yeah.
got done pinning games.
That's
so.
what Fuzzy was just talking
Yeah.
about. It resets every single time.
At this
Exactly.
point, though, it's just going to start
annoying.
listening to our conversations and starting showing relevant ads on the dashboard, like animal crackers will start showing up for me. Like,
Victoria's
I mean,
Secret.
You know what? I
yeah.
wouldn't mind it as much because I'm as much as it's like, you know, tinfoil hat. It bothers me that they do that, but it's like it's part of the user agreement. You don't read it, you sign it, whatever, you know. But I'd rather have it where they're listening and it actually gives me ads of stuff that I'll actually want. Like, oh, there's updated DLC for a game I own that I actually play. Okay, and it's on sale. Yeah, good. Put that on there. But don't put a game on there that I haven't bought in 2 years or played in 2 years or just uninstalled and then there's an update for it. No, I don't want the update for it. I uninstall it for a reason. So yeah, it's just
Psycho would never be able to turn on his Xbox when he had guests over, if that was actually happening.
A lot of hentai with tentacle ads going on. And be like, what is going on?
Psycho,
It's bad dragon up here.
Psycho, what is the rest? What does the rest of the Wookiee shirt say? I see soft Wookiee and warm Wookiee.
Oh,
Eat.
it says soft Wookie, warm Wookie, great big ball of fur, angry Wookie, hairy Wookie, gur gur gur. It's Soft Kitty from Big Bang Theory.
Bang Theory. Yeah.
Okay,
But it's
right on.
the Wookie. It's my Star Wars Big Bang.
Mav, you got any
Love it.
thoughts on the UI, brother?
I just want it to be cleaner and simpler. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it's a UI, and it's not why I play on the Xbox. It's for the UI experience. But I do like a cool, like, nice aesthetic and visual when you're just kind of chilling there and hanging out. You boot it up and you see these beautiful dynamic themes that they're coming out with and stuff. And I've always been more for, like, I like customization. I like simplicity and stuff as well. So it's even though it's like not the end of the world, right? Whatever the UI has, I agree. There's what Pong said. There's other more important things like that handshake with the HDR and all that shit is way more
Yes.
annoying than anything else. But I would love, like what Hargeet was describing, the stuff we saw on Twitter with some of the concepts of a nice clean look. You can actually appreciate the art and the style of the game, either the game that you're playing or the dynamic background, right? And you just can't see the dynamic backgrounds. You see them for like a second when it boots up before the rest of all the squares show up, right? So it's like, I don't know, you can't see anything on the dashboard right now. And I would appreciate if they did that. I what I think is the most interesting point of this discussion is the disconnect from the audience here, because like people, they know what the audience wants. You know what I mean? They know what the Xbox users want, but for whatever reason, it's just not on their priority list. Instead, it's whatever is on their mind of what they need to do with it or what they want to do with it to achieve what their goals are, not necessarily give the most cleanest experience for the user. However, you know, it's a dashboard.
Well, I
at the
would
end of the
say
day,
that
so-
like, because when the Xbox One first came out, the whole like discussion of that like dashboard was a problem for like the first 5 years of the Xbox One. Everyone hated it. Every new dashboard iteration, everyone hated it. Then they got to a point where it's like, oh, okay, we don't care anymore. Now they're kind of at this point where it's just like little changes, and I don't think we'll get any.
I would love to see like one. I think we're still. I know the dashboard changed a lot in the Xbox One generation because they kept doing new versions because everybody hated it so much. But we're still in this iteration of that same dashboard that launched with the original Xbox One. And I would still love to see a big overhaul, transitional change of a brand new look within the dashboard, right? Get rid of the big blocky squares and do something different. We went from blades originally on the 360.
I'm on the
to,
bring back blades thing.
To they changed it, and then they made the blades bring up. You know, you could bring it up still if you hit like the Xbox button. It'd still bring up the blades in a little menu. Remember on 360, and they had the regular dashboard behind it. And then the Xbox One dashboard was so built around the TV and the snap experience and all those different things, and they slowly took away those features right as they got implemented and trying to streamline it more, but it still has that same look overall. It's just less boxy, it's less it's just less squared, it's less boxy, but the overall it's just like a lot of clutter, and I don't even mess with the dashboard too much because it's just too many damn squares to look at. You know, it's just like,
Yeah.
it's just you boot it up.
It's
There's like 1,000 squares. You scroll up and down. It's like there's too many fucking squares. I just want like a simple bar, and I can
Still
click on what I
stuck in
want.
Windows 8.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Right.
I was
Zach, I was
this is
about to say
Microsoft-
that. It's
This is
Windows
Microsoft
8.
holding onto the Windows Phone. This is exactly what they're doing.
Yeah.
This is a leftover Windows Phone.
I mean, the
That's
Windows
exactly what-
Phone it actually made sense because it was like a touch
Sure,
device. But in the case
sure.
of this, it
Right.
just doesn't. Like Xbox
Yeah.
UI needs to be cleaner.
Yeah, it's like
Um,
when the launch of the Surface happened. Is it when
Yeah.
you know what I mean? When it went, hey, desktop mode or like app mode, right? The Xbox consoles are stuck in app mode for like the old Surface tablets, pretty
Right.
much.
Yeah,
don't-
yeah.
I kind of don't think we'll see a new dashboard until like maybe Windows 12, because right now with Windows 11, they're starting to do a bunch of stuff where they're actually like unifying all their devices again.
Mhm.
So maybe by the time Windows 12 rolls around, we'll start seeing them try to unify Xbox and their phones and all that stuff together again. So
Well, in the case of Windows, they did take the user feedback, right? Because everybody complained to high hell, especially business, and they're like, "No, this isn't working." So they switched, right? They went back to start menu, and they're trying to refine that. That just never happened to the Xbox, and I wonder if they actually have like, they do some tests with actual users, right? Some field tests to say, well, what would a user group A like? What would user group B like, right?
well,
And
I
then-
hate the new fucking task manager on PC. It's garbage.
yeah, I'm not Windows is its own thing, but I mean just for Xbox, like,
Yeah.
because it seems like they're just doing what they think might be cool
Right.
instead of like, why don't we just ask the user community and say, all right,
Yeah.
we'll field test this, and it's like, no. What would you like to see? Oh, here you go, like try this, and then try that with them, and say, okay, refine this, and this, and like, I don't know if they're doing that. I hope they are, because that would be a much better way to make the UI.
Yeah,
right?
and if anyone wants to really get a hold of somebody at Xbox, just go to report an issue on your console and go to the dashboard. They actually look at those more than your tweets.
Yeah.
Believe it was Jez Gordon. He mentioned that. He's like, stop going to Twitter, go to your Xbox, go to report an issue, and go right there, straight to the source. These guys see it, and so I mean, because that was the one thing when we saw what they gave us versus what Clobriel showed of those three individuals, I was like, you're telling me people that don't work at Microsoft can knock it out of the park versus your actual team? I'm like, that's kind of crazy.
Well, the problem is now
Perfect.
if they copy those people on Twitter, they'll be like, "Oh, you copied me," and then they'll try to do some stupid lawsuit thing, which would.
I mean, it's an issue like when the Xbox dashboard has the same amount of space taken up by squares as our podcast. You know what I mean? If you look at our podcast on YouTube right now, we got like over half the screen, just big ass squares in the middle of it with faces, and it's like, it's just like that's what the
True.
dashboard almost looks like on Xbox.
Yeah.
Has anybody looked at how Microsoft Edge, when you have like the side pins
Mhm.
type of deal, looks like if they did something along those lines where, consider like the web page would be like your web or your home screen background, and then maybe have like the search bar, because they seem to have a hard on for this search bar on this new UI type of deal. So at least have that, have whatever pins you want to keep off to the side, and just keep it as clean as possible. I like the idea, like what you guys were saying before, when you hover over the tile, it enlarges. That to me would make more sense.
like
But
a
they already have
collapsible
that
folder,
design
like you go to the
language.
folder and then it expands or something.
Yeah, I mean, they already have that design language in other parts of the Microsoft ecosystem. So it just seems like that would be a better deal than like what you guys are saying, as far as this caught in Windows 8 type of UI look type of thing. So
Like Hargeet was saying, this to me feels like they did no user testing. This feels like a marketing and advertising analytics type UI where they said, hey, where do people's eyes drift the most on the screen? Where can we get the best advertising views? That's exactly what this is, like an analytics based UI versus an actual people.
I don't know if the change was big enough for them to actually test it though, because all they did was add a search bar, make stuff a little bigger. Like you're not going to spend money testing that. It's like
that's what I'm saying. Like they didn't do any of that. They just took what they had, and that's the sad part. Well, I think we can all agree it could be better. It could definitely be better. Fuzzy's about ready to burn it all down to the ground and call it a day. But I think most of us can agree, and I think the chat, from what I saw in the chat, everybody agrees that they could do a much better job. So Xbox, if you're listening out there, please rethink this, or at least have some plans and like say, hey, we're just trying this out, but we're going to refine it a little bit, something. But give us a little bit more simple more refined UI. I think that's the perfect way to say it. So, what else happened this week? Well, we had a little game launch this week, everybody. I don't know if you all knew it.
Star Ocean.
Yep, Star Ocean was one of them. That's not the one I'm going with, but geez, Jasper, thanks for reminding me. We had this game called Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 launch, and we got some interesting stats already from this. I think most of us, we had this discussion too on many shows when it was leading up to launch. I had made the big bold prediction that this was going to be a record-breaking Call of Duty, but outside of that, we knew this was going to be huge. I haven't seen this much buzz about Call of Duty in a long time, but shout out to Benji Sales. Again, brings great information onto Twitter, on his podcasts too, when he goes live randomly during the week. But he put out the stat already from Steam. And to be fair, again, for anybody who doesn't know, the past few Call of Duties have not been available on Steam, so we're not necessarily comparing, current apples to apples here. But I think it's been since World War II, I want to say was the last one. I think so. I think that was the last one, World War II.
I think Cold War's on there now, though.
It didn't launch, though, right?
Yeah.
If it's on there now, it didn't launch. And we also got to mention that Modern Warfare 2 on PC is a $70 game. Okay, so this is a $70 game, but Steam highest concurrent views as of earlier this afternoon, 238,522 current active. That was the peak, right? So that is already blowing out of the water. Benji said compare it to Call of Duty World War II, which was the last one he's saying was on Steam, so that verified what I was saying. That had a peak concurrent user of 56,627. So we're talking about destroying it at a $70 game, which we know PC players don't like. Hargeet, first of all, I don't even know if you play Call of Duty, bro. Do you play Call of Duty?
I play the campaign. I
play the
barely
campaign? Okay.
ever do the multiplayer.
Okay.
And I have not picked it up yet. So
Okay. So you're not getting sweaty yet. Okay. All right.
No. And
Okay.
I may pick it up. I'm not sure. But
Yeah.
I've also been the mindset of Microsoft's going to buy them. I'll eventually just have it in Game Pass.
You're part of the problem, Hargeet. You're
Yeah.
not supporting the devs, man. You're just waiting for Game Pass. That's all you're doing.
Activision made $2 billion in profit. I don't need to support those devs.
There you go.
I love that attitude.
Screw that.
Oh my god! But obviously, you've seen all the chatter. You've heard plenty of people talking about it. Whatever else. 238,000, blowing the last one that we had. With comparable stats, out of the water. Does this surprise you at all to see this happening?
Not really. The user base keeps growing, and
Yeah.
as you said, this is them coming back to Steam, which was one of the things that Microsoft actually mentioned to the CMA. Is like, Steam didn't have this, and they're still kicking around. They still happen to be the market leader on PC. It didn't kill them, but no, I don't like. Gaming has grown since then, and there are more and more multiplayer gamers, and they COD has not really gone away. It is still a big juggernaut, and new ones come out. People want to play. So no, it does not surprise me at all. And I expect that number to stay high for a while. And as Warzone, I don't think that's out yet, right? It's going to come
November
weeks.
16th.
and that'll just skyrocket that as well, right? So there's gonna be more and more there.
I
So
think it's
yeah,
free
it
to
does not
play
surprise
too.
me.
So
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's free to play. Again, I think that it is worthy to bring up, Mav, that this is a $70 game on Steam, which again normally is when the pirate flags go up and oh my god, we're gonna play your game. You're just not gonna see our money comes out. But it seems like, hey, for Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, we might make an exception here. We might actually want to play this. It speaks to the quality that I think we've all experienced so far with Infinity Ward, minus the connection problems, which is what it is. But we kind of figured that this was going to happen, right, Mav?
Yeah, we predicted this was going to be the biggest Call of Duty ever.
Yeah.
And it's following that trend. This is obviously the Steam concurrent numbers doesn't even probably touch what's going on console right now as well, right? Between PlayStation and Xbox and everything. It's a massive release. And this also is I think most people that really cared most about the campaign had already gotten the game to play it a week early also. So, this is pretty much the multiplayer side really taken off, I would say, except for people that wanted to get it on disc or so. I don't know how they handled that situation with the campaign release. I don't know if they got a code or whatever, but
well, this is all Steam numbers, right?
yeah, these are
this is
Steam
Steam
numbers now here.
So there's
you
no
couldn't
disc
play
for
the
that, right?
campaign.
No.
You had to pre-order.
No,
digitally to get the campaign.
I'm just talking about as a
overall.
barometer, you know, Steam is doing this well. I would imagine that consoles are also breaking records, right?
Yeah.
So I think it all goes hand in hand. I think this
I would say
cements.
Steam is probably the lowest users,
Yeah,
to be honest.
I would say either Steam or Xbox, probably pretty close, but I would say the Xbox may be above Steam. I don't know. I don't know how big the Call of Duty traditional multiplayer campaign $70 audience is on Steam
Multiplayer or
compared
Call of
to.
Duty is usually seen as a console game anyway.
Exactly,
Like, it's
that's
kind
what
of
I'm
started
saying.
going more PC over the last
You
few
know,
years.
Warzone has helped them grow
Yeah.
on PC,
Warzone
obviously,
has been
right?
the
So,
catalyst, yeah.
I think this obviously the PC market's there for them now. I mean, this has proven that,
but
for
it's mostly
sure.
in BattleNet because they forced people into that over like 5 years or whatever. So
But I think that it's going to be really interesting to see what happens with Call of Duty now, because this, as big as Call of Duty was made out to be by the CMA and by PlayStation, this is going to expand upon that, because you're going to start seeing all these numbers thrown out there: record breaking, best selling Call of Duty all time, best selling game over the last like 10 years, or the crazy numbers like that potentially, right? And PlayStation is potentially going to be able to try and use this to help further their arguments about how important Call of Duty is to gaming. So that's the only downside I would say to that. It's just bad timing. Like if this was 2 years ago, then you have, you know, Vanguard, and you have
Right.
Cold War,
War.
which didn't do as
Yeah.
well at, you know, but this is really that, what we talked about, Pong, for a long time. This is like that next step for COD, I think. You know,
Yes.
Infinity Ward had taken that next step in 2019, and it felt like a step back the next two games. Really, this feels like the next step forward at beyond 2019. And there's just some issues right now, obviously, maybe because of the amount of people playing it. Also, you know, they tend to release games unfinished at times, and maybe some of the maybe some of the issues we're experiencing is just some bugs and stuff like that. But when you get into the game, when you get into the damn game, it feels so damn good, man. It is. Even though I run the wrong direction with the bomb and Jasper yells at me, it's such a good experience. It's bringing back the old school vibe of what it felt like to play those old Modern Warfare games originally. You know, the crazy thing is, I think this is just gonna ascend as high as we thought Call of Duty could go. I think this is gonna ascend it to another level. And we'll see what the 2 years from now, it'll be the longest gap we've ever had between Call of Duties. So we're going to have that as well coming up. So you're going to be a lot of anticipation for the next Call of Duty as well. And then you're going to potentially have a 4-year development cycle for Infinity Ward, or potentially longer for their next big Call of Duty game. So you look at where that's going, potentially Modern Warfare 3 down the line. I expect this audience just to absolutely explode to levels we've never seen before. And that also does help Xbox and Microsoft after this acquisition does go through. If it does go through, you know, this brand is still growing. And that's what also, if Microsoft could use that to their advantage of it doesn't make any sense for us not to, you know what I mean? Once they post those numbers and say, oh, about how many more PlayStation users have it than Xbox users or all that kind of stuff, like, it's going to be interesting how they're going to potentially use these numbers as chess pieces with this ongoing discussions.
Well, and Phil came out this week and also reiterated yet again,
Yeah.
hey, we're not.
It's gonna be on
We want to
PlayStation. Yeah.
grow Call of Duty. We want to put this thing on Switch. We want to eventually, you know, we know that eventually Nintendo's going to have to come up with a new
Console.
Switch or
Yeah.
console or something
Yeah.
coming up shortly. That's just going to be a brand new market because it hasn't been over there for so long yet again. And that's what Phil and everybody on Xbox's side have been saying. Look, this is not your typical game. We don't look at it as your typical game. This is a Minecraft. This is on its own. It's a standalone that we want to actually grow out even more than it has had the opportunity to do so far. And I think that's going to go to that when these numbers start coming out as well, Mav. You're absolutely correct. Jasper, you've been playing a ton, man, a multiplayer. You obviously were in New Zealand, checking it out.
Yes.
So, you know, from your perspective, when you see the Steam numbers and just everything we talked about, you know, like Matt brought up, I mean, if you see these Steam numbers and it's already that dominating over the other Call of Duties, you know, what are your expectations here going forward? Is this just the beginning? Are we going to see bigger peak numbers coming the next week here? What do you think, brother?
Obviously, I think it will grow numbers the next week, just people getting paychecks and stuff, like able to purchase games and stuff like that. I'm more interested to see like the longevity of this game, because kind of right now, like on Twitter, a lot of the personalities, there's a negative sentiment towards the game.
Mhm.
So I'm just kind of wondering if that's going to like dwindle down to the players eventually be like, this game's ass. It's like,
Yeah, no, but their sentiment is based upon skill-based matchmaking, right? We can't go kill noobs for 50 KDs.
I don't. I know
live.
Jasper
Oh,
hates skill-based matchmaking
Yeah.
too, so he's
Yes.
one of those.
But see,
I know he is.
like when you all play with me, like you obviously struggle more than like if you just go play solo by yourself. So that's
Well, no
like,
shit.
Yeah,
that's the problem with skill-based matchmaking is like if we're a group of friends hanging out, like I'm gonna force you in tough lobbies when if you just go play by yourself, you may have a more enjoyable experience.
No, but we tough it out. We tough it
But
out. It's fine.
What I've noticed though, when I've played, like especially with Halo, when we play those matches, when I play solo, I'm dominating these fucking kids when I'm solo playing. But
Yeah,
when
sure.
I'm playing with you, I'm not getting the KD that I normally
You
play
suck.
solo.
Just say it. Just say it.
Yeah, but but it is what it is. But it helps you develop better as a gamer because
Oh, yeah.
now
Yeah,
I'm
but see, you only
being
get
forced.
to experience those players when you play with me. Like if you didn't play with me, you would
Yes.
only experience your level players, and you may not
Yes.
grow. That's kind of
Well,
like
until your peak, right? And then you'd move up to the next skill base, right?
yeah.
Technically, that's how it's supposed to work, right? So,
Well, I
because
mean,
in
kind of.
Cold War, I noticed that. Like when I would play with you, I get crushed, right? Or Steel, or somebody of that high level, I would go in and I would be mid to bottom, where normally I was mid to top. But then when I went back and I was better, like Psycho was saying, in Cold War, all of a sudden I'd have like 3 games in a row where I was, top 2. All of a sudden I was then that next match I was in with another lobby that was much more skilled, right?
I mean, yeah, I get that. It's one reason I don't like it is just because like when I play, if I'm not sweating my ass off, like every time I'm just gonna like die over and over again. So it's like
Right.
it forces me to sweat when I don't want to sweat. So
Well,
it's
then
like-
don't sweat, damn it. Lose your KD for a little bit, brother. That's
see,
fine. We'd be okay with
It
that.
helps
But then
you
I
though,
just-
Jasper, when you do play with us, right? Because then you start getting those 40 kill games.
Mhm.
yeah, that's. I mean, yeah, it's fun.
Just carry us along with you, and
Psycho, what did you think of these numbers coming out of Steam, man? What do you think you've gotten a chance now after all the problems? What do you think?
It's looking at it's doing good. I've seen a couple people that were criticizing it that, oh look, what was it, CSGO's dominating Call of Duty, and
I mean,
it's
that
just
game
like,
always has a million.
it's fucking PC. The 3 games that they play is PUBG, CSGO, and
Dota.
Dota.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so those are the 3 games. Those are going to be, if Call of Duty could top any of those, then that's a feat. But if you put those aside, it's the other number 1 game that is being played. It's
What is
Renegade.
Warzone like on PC when it play? Like, how many people are in there?
There's usually about a dozen more games that have higher multiplayer
Okay.
counts than
Okay.
Warzone.
Okay.
So, and that is the counter to that. And
Right.
like COD is not the biggest game. It's not.
Right.
By far,
Right.
it's not.
Right. Which we all know.
Yeah.
You know, obviously
Revenue
they
wise, it
wanna
is
be.
because they
Yeah.
charge $70.
Right,
That's why
exactly.
it generates so much revenue. But most of the other ones are free to play. But yeah.
Exactly. And that's the thing, and that's one thing with PC players is that they're going to choose the free to play game over the $50, $60, $70 game. That's especially if it's $70 on PC. They're not clamoring and jumping up and down like yes, like some console warriors.
yeah, it's $70, and you can still buy a battle pass.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
It'll be
It's like-
interesting to see if they put Warzone for free on Steam though, or if they block Warzone down to their own ecosystem.
That'd be
Warzone's
good
already
question.
free to play, right?
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't. It's not out yet. I'm just wondering if it's still part of that. I guess it would be part of that package, but I just wonder.
Yeah.
You can.
Oh, I see what
Download
you mean.
it separate,
Can
so
you
I'm
run
wondering
it
if
from
they just-
Steam?
Yeah.
Got it. Yeah.
Yeah, I bet you they make it separate. It's too much of a moneymaker for them. The Warzone 2.0 is looking fantastic too. I might even jump into it.
And that
I'm not
Warzone mobile is
Warzone
going to
guy.
be big.
Yeah,
Yep.
Warzone, yes, huge,
Yeah.
gigantic.
Yeah, that will definitely squash Call of Duty mobile numbers. It'll be a very, very big. It'll probably be up there with Fortnite. I don't know if PUBG does well on mobile, but I know
PUBG's pretty
Fortnite
big on mobile.
is.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So if those are the like the top 3 type games on mobile, then hey, that's why Microsoft is acquiring ABK.
That
Well,
is
Call of
correct,
Duty
sir.
Mobile already does pretty well for them anyway. It's like
Oh, yeah.
where they made like $1 billion in a year or something like that from it.
Mhm. Yep, they
It's
were doing
something
really well.
ridiculous.
And now that they're integrating everything together even more, that's what they're expecting is even more growth there too, as well as far as progression goes and all that kind of stuff. Fuzzy, I can't remember. Do you play Warzone at all? I can't remember.
I've played it a few times. Like I mainly
I know you're more
hop on when
tactical.
they do like the 50 versus 50
Yeah.
modes and things like that. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Would
I haven't
Are you
played
gonna
it.
hop in? Are you gonna hop in on this on the PC at all?
I'm gonna just play it on Warzone on console.
Okay, okay.
For the most part, PC is going to be modded stuff. So
Yeah.
like Insurgency with the
Yeah, I know you love Insurgency.
ISMC stuff. Those are going to be on PC. But like for COD, for this Warzone 2.0 or whatever, I'll just play it on my Xbox Series X type of deal. But more so when they do the 50 versus 50. But if you guys are all on, I'll tag along and try not to die too much.
One question I have, something that was going around on Twitter today that I noticed, and I don't know if this is an Xbox thing or if this is because of PlayStation, or if it's because of the developers or whatnot. But I guess on PlayStation you can select whether you want to do cross-platform play.
Oh,
But
yeah, that's
on-
always been a thing.
On an
for-
Xbox, you can't. Like you're
you can
forced.
on Xbox, but you got to
You-
go through the hardware.
Yeah, but
settings
nobody's
and
going to
go-
do that because it affects your queue status, right? So
Yeah.
it's like only other people that would do the same thing.
This happened in 2019, and the reason they said is if we lock off crossplay between Xbox and PC, you won't be able to find a game because there's not enough people on that platform. That's literally what they said.
That's
Infinity Ward or
bullshit
whatever,
though,
so-
because like you can like find lots of matches on other shooters. And Call of Duty is like the biggest one. So
that's just what they said.
Yeah, I'm assuming that they'll have a like right now. That was Xbox One. This is the Series X generation. So I'm gonna say that further along in the generation, when there's more, maybe the next Call of Duty will probably see that. Like I wouldn't mind crossplay with other consoles. Like I don't have an issue with PC gamers, except for the fucking assholes that cheat and like to use the fucking aim assist and all that. And like there's some people who like, how'd you pull that headshot? Like you were just all of a sudden like you were facing the other way, turned around, and you knew exactly where I was. Like those, you can tell some people are cheating, and that's a lot of the frustration is with keyboard and mouse versus controller, because you got this quick spins with players. They can turn around a lot faster, and it's one of those things that's like it's almost to a point sometimes it's not fun playing with PC players. But the fact that PlayStation has that option to turn it off, but I guess having 140 million consoles, you can say, yeah, there's enough players on that ecosystem to justify turning it off. At Xbox, you got what 50 something million during the Xbox One generation. Then they can say, hey, there's not enough people that are playing this game on Xbox, so we're not going to do that. So maybe that's if they start seeing the numbers and like, oh, there's an uptick with Xbox gamers, now we can justify.
The problem with turning it off is that it's on by default, and a lot of people don't even know that crossplay is a thing. So like, no one's going to go in to turn it off anyway. So like, the people that do turn it off is going to be so few at that point.
No,
it's like
on the Xbox, when you turn it off, it only turns off for the PC players, and you can play with Xbox players, because that's what the article that I saw on purexbox.com, that's what they were speaking of, that it just turns off PC players and you just teamed up with Xbox players. So regardless if they have the cross-gen enabled or disabled. But that's from the
But I would
article,
like to still
so.
play with PlayStation players, but just have the option.
Yeah.
And I don't have an issue with like mouse and keyboard versus controller. It's mainly about hacks and stuff that are prominent. And I've already seen videos and stuff on Modern Warfare 2, like on PC and stuff.
there's a
it is what it
there's a
is.
site they already put out there that They had a cheat before the beta test, so
I
it was
don't
like,
know if I really want to share this, but today there's a bug that's found in the game where you can get wall hacks. You don't even have to have cheats. You just mark a guy, you ping him, and if he kills you, he just stays pinging the entire time, so you can see him through walls.
Oh my god. Really?
Oh.
Yeah,
Well, that's a bug. I mean, so they got to fix that, right?
I mean it's built-in wall hacks. So it's like,
Wow.
See, I was thinking it was a conspiracy theory on the whole, turning the crossplay off on PlayStation. I almost get the impression that
I think
Activision
Sony
probably
just-
told them to go fuck
Yeah.
themselves with the crossplay tax, and their workaround is, all right, well then we want it where we can turn it off, since they had the marketing deal. So tied in with the marketing deal and the crossplay tax that Activision wasn't going to pay them, they're like, well then we want to disable it. So I think it's more of that. But as the crossplay tax becomes a thing of the past, as like you guys are saying, more Xboxes sell, they grab a bigger part of the market. We won't have to worry about things like, well, PlayStation gets to turn it off, but we don't, unless we
I
go
mean,
system
I would
level.
say in the future there won't even be a ability to disable it because everything's getting more connected anyway. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Do you see that crossplay tax going away?
No. Yes.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
yeah. I think
In
Sony-
about a
Sony
year,
table,
I would
that's
say in a
what-
year or two.
Yeah, that's why Sony doesn't want him to get. That's one of the reasons why they don't want him to get called.
Yeah.
Because that's going to be one of the first negotiations. Like, hey,
Like-
listen, well, we'll give you Call of Duty, but yeah, that crossplay tax.
You're thinking just Call of Duty and
Yeah.
Xbox or Microsoft working with.
Yes. Yeah.
But you think Sony will continue then with the crossplay
With
tax?
other people,
They'll
sure,
try,
absolutely.
yeah.
They'll try it. Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
They're doing it, right? We know they're doing it because
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
released
Yeah.
a game recently, a big one that didn't have crossplay on PlayStation because they didn't want to pay the tax.
Correct.
I'm wondering if these are so to me, this is the kind of thing regulators should look at, right? That is a
Right.
very anti-consumer thing to do. And not only that, it's anti-publisher, right? The studio that makes something has to take money out of their pocket and give it to you. That makes very little
Yeah.
sense from a normal business perspective. But I mean, it happens, but this is definitely an abuse of power, right? It's got to be looked at as an abuse of power. So I wonder if any of the regulators even look at these things and say, wait a minute, why aren't we looking at Sony doing all these shit?
They're just now finding out what a video game is. You want to explain
I
network to
think
them?
that's the problem, right? I think that's the problem.
Yeah.
It's like I read all these things from the CMA. I'm like, you understand that's Sony, right? That's what they do, right? This is everything they're complaining about. That's what they do right now, right? Like,
Yeah, it's like the car, like tire manufacturers telling Chevy, like you want tires for your car, there's a tax for that. So if you want tires here, it's like you think people are gonna be like, oh goddamn, we gotta pay it.
yeah, exactly. It's kind of weird, man. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think as long as they can charge it, they will charge it.
Yes.
It would have to reduce their market share somehow, but from competitive
And-
forces, or governments have to come in and say you can't do that.
And hopefully this is brought up during Xbox's cross examination with the CMA.
Oh yeah.
Then if they do get Call of Duty ABK, then they can sit there and be like, listen, no more cross-gen tax. If you want Call of Duty, here we go.
Crossplay tax, yeah.
Cross
exactly.
And then-
yeah, let's cross gen tax.
Oh
Don't
my
give me
God.
any ideas,
Crossplay.
Piggy.
Well, they already have
And
that
then-
too. They already have that too, right? $10
And
more.
then
Get your rumble
Right.
features.
and then they'll have like other publishers coming up like, you know what, if Xbox is doing it, we're not going to pay it either. And then you might see this whole big push that says, fuck you, Sony, we'll just go on Xbox cross play with them with PC. And
I think it eventually goes away when Sony starts making more like games as a service on day one on PC, when they have to actually start combining their own games together. Like, I think that's going to be a point when it kind of starts going away.
And I think as Sony to Psychonauts point too, and we've talked about this. Sony and Hargeet brought it. I mean, we've all talked about this. Sony's used their market power to bully in different
Yeah.
ways. Like it
Yes.
hasn't always been in the contracts per se, in writing. They've obviously bullied a lot of companies to get their way, even behind the scenes.
Pay like
not-
$20,000 to get your
like, not-
game
right,
on the store
right.
or whatever. It's like,
Exactly.
yeah.
Not overtly sometimes, but just insinuating, hey, who we are, right? Like, and they've gotten a lot of deals in their favor. And as Microsoft is now gaining market share in a lot of areas and is opening up and really becoming the nice guy of this industry in a lot of different ways. And once they cut those dev fees that they talked about as well for their stores, they're really going to be considered the nice guys as they shift the rules and rewrite the rules in their own favor. On the other side, I think we see a lot of that Sony power dissipate, and some of the, like Psycho said, there's going to be a lot of companies that come back and be like, yeah, you know that bad deal you made us sign, Sony? Guess what? Yeah, guess what? Now you're going to have to overpay. Now you're going to have to come our way a little bit, and I think you're going to see a little bit of more of that as this generation moves forward and as Microsoft gains fair. I think it's a fair point for sure. So,
And that's why competition's good.
yes,
And hopefully Sony starts making great games, a variety of games again, instead of these cookie cutters that they've been putting out.
they're trying.
Hey, it's great. I mean, Last of Us was a good game to people. God of War, I love God of War. That's going to be a good game. Ghost of Tsushima should have been Game of the Year in 2019. The games are great, but when you only put out that style, you're going to get to a point where you're going to get sick of that style game. It's like I eat the same cookie after a while. I'm not going to enjoy it anymore.
And never get sick of
This-
chocolate chip cookies, Psycho.
Well, these are oatmeal cookies.
Oh,
Alright, so
okay.
Well, you bought the wrong ones then.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's on you.
but I'm just saying that you're gonna start seeing them like, oh shit, we need to step up our game publications and start doing other things than these cookie cutter style gaming, and hopefully
That's what
they'll
to
come
do.
back. I would love to see Twisted Metal, the fucking remake that, not
isn't that coming?
Yeah, there's
It's a
rumors.
TV show, I think, right?
There's a
Well,
TV
TV
show, but
shows
there's a
sound-
rumor that
There's a
one of the
rumor that a game
studios
is being made.
is the same studio that did Destruction and All Stars is working on another game that's
Oh, that sounds
that
promising.
is a motor like a
I hope
vehicle
it's not
game.
cartoon.
No, I hope it's not cartoon either. But
It's going to be a third-person
supposedly
action
Twisted Metal.
adventure.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
It's gonna be the Adventures of Sweet Tooth, and you're gonna follow his van around.
Sad
in third
Dad
person.
Walking Simulator Part
Yeah.
20.
Oh, man. We'll have to repair the ice cream truck just like you have
Yeah,
to repair your
exactly.
motorcycle
Yeah.
in Days Gone.
Yep.
No, I think that we're gonna exactly see that though, Psycho. I think we already are. Sony's shifting. They're buying time. That's what this ABK fight is over. They're buying themselves time
Yeah.
through all of this to
Yeah.
switch their whole model around and to get to work on these different types of games that they know they have to start making. They have to. They don't have a choice anymore, especially now that they've started a service like Game Pass. Whether or not it actually ever becomes a competitor that's a whole nother topic. But they know they're going to have diverse content within there, and it's going to have to come from their first party in a lot of areas. There's only so much third party they can actually go out and get now, and that's starting to shrink a little bit outside of indies and smaller studios, which are growing. But you see the bigger stuff starting to get eaten up, and they know that it's going to be less likely they can cut those favorable deals for themselves down the road. So they're going to have to produce their own, and that's good. Again, that comes down to competition is good. Sony has been king for too long. They really have. They've controlled the industry, and they wrote the rules for way too long, and it got stale. And now they got to fight, and now they got to change, and that's always great. So we always appreciate that. Mav, did you have any BS topics you wanted to bring up tonight for the end of the show? Did you think of one?
You know what? I didn't even think about it. Forgot about our
No?
segment.
All right, that's fine. We'll end it on this. We'll do a little speculation town real quick since we are here. And I want to get Hargeet's thoughts because I haven't heard you on any show specifically talk about. Again, gamers have the shortest memories in history, and we're always looking ahead, even when we got something great in front of us. But 2023, Hargeet, you as a gamer, when you're looking at 2023 on paper, obviously we know this industry, nothing's for sure. I don't care about release dates anymore. Talk to me when it's 2 weeks before gold. I don't want to hear anything. I don't care. But on paper, wherever you're gaming next year, right? Sony might be a little light right now from what we know, but it's still got some really quality stuff coming if Spider-Man 2 hits next year. But on paper, 2023 is looking like a historical type year. Mav and I were in the DMs going back and forth. And again, I only have Xbox, so that's it. I don't play on PC. I don't have any other console right now. And just looking the first half of 2023 on paper, what I want to play on Xbox is insane. It's literally like 25 games. Like it's stupid. What do you think about 2023 looking ahead and just what we know? Again, anything can happen, anything can change. You think it's going to wind up being one of the most, if not the most historical year in video game history?
It could. And you probably don't have the Switch either, right? So Nintendo has a pretty big game coming next year.
Yes, they do.
And along with that, we're also due for a Mario. And the last time we had the mainline Mario was the same year with a Zelda release. So they could have a double whammy there too, and those are big games. And Microsoft has a slate of some pretty big games of their own. So it is looking really good. We don't really know what the latter half of the year is going to be.
Nope.
And that usually is when you get a lot of games. So just the beginning of it looks pretty crazy. So it does look like it could be a banner year. But again, to your point, and this is the thing that I don't know, is things keep getting delayed. And okay, let's say half of that comes out. That's pretty cool, right?
Yes.
But I have my expectations set low that those games will actually come out.
Well, the good thing is that's the first half of the year, so they can get pushed back to the second half.
And Halo should have been 2 years of a delay, and it turned out that they still released it half baked after a year of a delay. But I don't know. So I think at this point they've kind of learned that lesson. Hopefully, like you don't need to release a game just because you want to make a 20th anniversary or something like that. Make the game come out when it's actually ready to come out.
Right.
They took the hit with even the 11/11/22 with Starfield. If it needs more time, give it more time. If it comes out in 2024, I don't care. Make it a good game. Make sure it's right the way you want it to be. Right. I know people want it. Like I would rather just the game be done the right way. Like they can afford that now. They have enough other stuff, right? So, but that's it. I don't know, right? So assuming it is what it is, and yes, all those games that we know of just from the Xbox showcase come out, and all the ones that were delayed from this year come out next year. There's a lot of cool stuff, right? There's the Harry Potter game coming from WB. There's Suicide Squad. Gotham Knights is getting piled on, but it's actually a fun game. I don't know if you guys have tried it yet. It's pretty good. And Suicide Squad is coming from Rocksteady, the better of those studios. And it'll probably be a very killer, awesome game, right? So, and then they have the Harry Potter game coming, right? And that alone, just from that publisher, right? And there's so many others. It's crazy. There's a lot of stuff coming.
But will Suicide Squad be 60 frames?
No.
Probably not.
I don't think unless it's a cross-gen game, I don't think it will be.
I think Rocksteady would. I think they will.
I don't know, man. I don't know now.
That
Rocksteady developer was the one that was shitting all over the Series S.
Yeah, but that guy's a fucking artist. He's that guy's been shitting on the Series S since it was announced. That guy.
My point is though, like
right?
WB Montreal and Rocksteady, they share a lot of tech, and they're pretty much WB Montreal built that game off of Rocksteady's tech. We still haven't ever seen a Gotham Arkham game updated to run on consoles at 60 frames. I think we
start seeing more 30 games anyway.
I'm thinking there's something inherently wrong with their technology, the way they build games, that keeps them from being able to get games to 60.
Games are just going to get better because they have better hardware to work with, and it's going to require more resources to run. So it's just that.
But that's the wrong fucking approach, man. It's like
then you just never improve your quality.
If all we cared about was fidelity, then games would just suck ass all the time, man. I care the way about the game feels more than the ray tracing, shadows, and all that bullshit. I'm just saying, like, it's cool to a certain extent, but when you experience 2 years of 60 frames per second, and then you all of a sudden, what the fuck was that? Like, this is a new game, like it's 30 frames. I get it's not everything you can get accustomed to it again. I'm still having fun with Gotham Knights, right? But it is affecting how much I am enjoying that game, because I'm so used to playing all the other games. And when I play these other games at 60 and then I go back to Gotham Knights, I notice it all over again. And it's like a repetitive cycle. If all I was playing was that, it'd be like, okay, I'm back stuck in the old days, and this looks a little bit better, but it still feels like an old game. Now,
I don't know, these like UE5 games that we've seen so far that take advantage of all the UE5 features, they've also been pretty low frame rate. I have very low hopes that these games will be 60 FPS. So until they
options,
show it,
Hargeet,
until they
show
show it.
all we need.
The thing is, I see. If you look at like Forza Motorsport, that's going to be coming. They are saying 4K 60. Now this is them 4K 60
with RT as well, but understand that's a racing game, and it's the Forza engine that they.
But that is Xbox, but they're utilizing the tools at 4K. Now you don't have to give us 4K. 1440p would be fine.
I don't care. Give me
1440p,
1080.
Yeah.
Give me
60.
1080.
We
don't
just
care.
want 60 hertz. That's all we gamers want.
Option.
60 hertz has been a thing,
Yeah.
except for Xbox One generation for a lot of
But
the
they're
games.
coming out and saying that
prior.
the physics they're working, the calculations they're doing within the game itself is eating up the CPU, so they can't actually do.
Yeah,
60.
the software is going to get better, but the hardware is not changing. So eventually,
Yeah.
something's going to have to give there. And
that's what we're hearing. And
Yeah.
so
Hmm.
I hope you're right, because I like 60, but my fears are it's going to be more and more 30.
Then at that
as
point,
move
we
to
need
the
the
next-gen
mid-gen
games.
refreshes.
yes,
Yep.
Yeah,
We need the mid-gen
unfortunately.
refresh. Yeah.
Yeah.
and I think
unfortunately.
if like with the 4090, like it's such a powerhouse. Like once developers start using that, like they may get lazy on some optimization because that thing can just
Yeah.
power through anything. At that point, it's like, why do we need to optimize when we can just power through it?
In this day and
Hard-
age, just develop a game from the ground floor knowing you have to hit 60, and that's
Yes.
your barometer.
Expectation. We'll see. We'll see.
Option,
I think
not
it's interesting.
option mode, fidelity
Option.
mode, performance
That's it.
mode. 2 modes.
That's it. If we gotta go back to 720, give me 720 just so I could try it. Just so I
Oh,
like it.
Jesus.
Hargeet, if you had to say final question for the fun speculation kind of the section, out of 2023, if assuming everything that we know about hits and comes out, your most anticipated game, no matter what console it is.
It would be a toss up between Starfield and it would be Zelda, because I love Zelda games.
Okay.
So if Zelda's
enough.
coming,
That's awesome.
that's gonna be my game. But Starfield, I also like the Bethesda games, so
Right.
their games are pretty damn good. So yeah, so it's one of
Okay.
those two.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Great picks, man. I can't argue with you. Even if I'm not a Zelda fan, I don't care. I still respect its history. So I understand why y'all love it.
Yep.
Jasper 2023, biggest historical, and you're young, so you've only got like maybe one console generation under your belt, whatever it is.
I mean, I
So, big, is this going to be a historic year for video games in 2023? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, just half of that comes out. Like that's already more games than we got this year. So,
Right.
I'm just trying to. There's the problem with that is like, there's no major shooter I can think of coming out, and that's like kind of what a lot of Western people play is I feel like shooters. So like I think that may be lacking for a lot of people because we know we're not getting Call of Duty, we're not getting Halo, we're not getting Battlefield. So
Yep.
the 3 big IPs of that are missing. So I think that could maybe like draw me back a little bit. We're getting a lot of RPGs though. So if you're an RPG
Yes.
lover, next year is going to be really big for you.
Yeah. In your most anticipated game next year, no matter where it is.
I'm gonna have to go with Starfield. I just love space, man.
Yeah, brother, you know it. You know it. Absolutely. Got a Trekkie right here. You know it. All right, Fuzzy. Next year, 2023, on paper, biggest year in gaming history. What do you think, brother?
I think it's even bigger than what we expect because of stuff that hasn't been announced yet.
Mhm.
I mean, whether you look at like Sony kind of being quiet and saying, "Oh, we got 23 games in the works," and Xbox with like 30 plus games in the works, and third party deals and publishing deals, I think it's going to be even bigger than what we're even expecting. I think the common thread next year is backlog. God damn, they released another game. I didn't even boot up the other one last night. Jeez. So it's just going to be people complaining that they have too many games and not enough time.
Right.
So it's going to be a huge year for games, but my most anticipated, I'm pretty
I think
sure
I know
y'all
this one. I think I know this one.
it's going to be Forza Motorsport. Although Starfield is up there, and believe it or not, Atomic Heart's up there as well. There's a lot of games, but
So
I would say top of my list is Motorsport, followed by Starfield.
Starfield. Awesome. I like this theme we got going on. Psychonauts, brother.
Yes,
Next
sir.
year, biggest year in gaming history, yes or no?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
no,
might
it's
be
gonna
that simple.
Dude,
Absolutely.
it is insane. I mean, I'd love to hear more what Sony's gonna bring out.
Yeah.
Because all we know is
Forspoken.
Forspoken, all third-party deals.
Yeah, Final Fantasy 16
Yeah.
and then Spider-Man 2.
Yeah. So first party, we rumored of Spider-Man 2, possibly the Last of Us multiplayer
Factions.
factions. and there was one other, I think, gas game that they were hinting, but I don't know anything about that. But like to see more. Let's Sony loves to talk about games coming out 3, 4, 5 years ahead. I mean, they did it before in the PS4 generation. Talk about it now, unless it's really further out. Like Wolverine, I'm still on 2025.
Like 425, yeah.
Yep.
I'm 2025 because Insomniac is going to be finishing up Spider-Man 2, and then they're going to be working on Wolverine. If they want that nice and polished, it's going to be 2025. But anyways, for Xbox, it's going to be two games. Starfield, and then the not announced but will be for the second half of 2023, Avowed.
Yeah, you're on my train. I know.
Yes,
I know.
sir.
That would be that would be gigantic to have two of the biggest RPGs coming out in the same year. Be crazy. I think they pull it off too. So I'm on board with you. So love it, man. Mav, finish this off, brother.
How much time do I
2023.
have?
Yeah, I know. Do you want to start going through the list? Because my God.
Sudikin.
First,
Sudikin
let me
1-2.
get to a couple of comments here because we had a
shoot.
couple of super chats that come through, or a couple messages. So Lord Ruffness, member for 1 year, said
out to you,
earlier,
brother.
yeah, member for 17 months, dude.
Love it, Lord.
Wow,
Salute,
that's
brother.
fucking
Salute.
awesome, dude. It says my PS friend is getting an Xbox after chat issues. Is that due to is that the PS4 stuff? I know that Modern Warfare has had some issues with audio. I don't know if that's what he was referring to. But hey, glad you get a friend to play with on Xbox there, Lord Ruffness. And how you doing? Chris Jones says $2 with a $2 super chat. Ayuden Chronicle 100 Heroes, best game 2023, game of the year. He's always right in that Ayuden Chronicles.
Yeah,
train.
he is. What about Suikoden though? HD
Yeah.
remix coming. Come on, Chris. Come on, brother.
know.
I want to welcome
See you.
KY Bob back to the speculators as well. Appreciate you, KY.
Appreciate you, Bob.
So 2023, bro. My God. My God. Oh, wow. I mean, what am I gonna do with myself? Now you say the most anticipated. That's Starfield, right? My
Love it.
mind is just wanting to know what that game is gonna be, explore all that stuff. But I will say there is a game that could potentially be right up there if it gets announced for 2023.
Okay.
And that's Dragon Age.
Okay.
It's been announced for so long that it's supposedly. I'm not
Just
gonna.
went
I'm
to
not
alpha.
gonna. I'm not
It
gonna
just
bet
went to
on
alpha, for
2023.
God's sakes.
We'll see. We'll see. Maybe 2024. But if it did hit 2023, that would be right up there.
Comes
but
out same day as Avowed.
Oh, my God.
God.
If it comes out in 2023, it's Anthem Part 2. Okay.
but
it comes out in 2023. All right.
And then you talk
Maybe
about
that no matter what.
you are correct, Hargeet. It might be.
you talk about Forza Motorsport coming next year. I'm more like with Forza, I'm more of a motorsport guy than I am a Horizon guy. So I've been missing that, and the last couple Forza Motorsports have been a little bit not up to what I like with the career mode, right? As much. So I've been really anticipating this Forza Motorsport. So that's right up there, you know. Redfall's looking better and better, dude. Every time we see it, that last trailer was sick, and I know that we are gonna have a blast playing that co-op together. So that is up there just because I know the fun we're gonna have, right? I gotta add these fighting games in that list, dude.
Yes. Yeah.
Because you talk about a potentially a trifecta next year in the fighting genre, because we don't know if NetherRealm has something coming next year, but I'm gonna say we probably
Yes.
do.
Yes,
right?
We do.
And I think it'll be the other game that they haven't officially told us what it is yet. So that's exciting as hell for me. Then also, on top of that, Street Fighter 6 and Tekken. So you could have Tekken, Street Fighter, and NetherRealm fighting game all in the same damn year. Sign me up for that, bro. Hell
Killer
yeah.
Instinct 2? God.
And then
That'd be amazing.
I mean, and then you got all these other games. I mean, like, I didn't
just
even
got Age.
mention. I
We
didn't
got
even,
Age.
guys. Diablo 4 is coming out next year.
I know, bro.
Diablo
Hopefully
fucking
in
4
Game Pass.
is coming out next year. Let me repeat that. Diablo fucking 4 is coming next year. If that acquisition happens in time, that could also be in Game Pass day one.
There was an Xbox like sizzle reel that they put out the other day, and there's like I think 2 Bethesda game or not Blizzard games in that. I was like,
Blizzard
that's
games.
interesting. Yeah.
Yep.
So
Mhm.
I want to add something like to this conversation real quick. Phil had made in the comments when talking about numbers and stuff about the potential reason that the console Game Pass numbers has not didn't necessarily meet some of the expectations is because of the saturation of the console market with subscribers to Game Pass, because it's like almost 1-for-1. Let's just be real here, right? Like almost every console they sell pretty much as a Game Pass user. If you look at, they're probably around 30 mil now, right? And we have less than that on new next generation consoles that have been sold. So that's a pretty damn good ratio as far as user base for Game Pass subscribers, and then also expands to PC and everything as well. But what I will say is, like, what I think he could actually be a little bit wrong on is as far as fact about reaching its peak potentially, because next year when all of this first party content hits, once all these deals and these bundle deals start happening as well for these Series S's and these consoles, I think you're going to see probably close. And I mean, not like when it originally launched, because you have like, the growth is crazy then. But like, as far as since it's been established in the last several years, I think you're going to see potentially the biggest growth period for Game Pass.
But I
next
think
year.
the assumption of that is that these people already have an Xbox One with Game Pass, so they're just upgrading to a Series S. So they're not
Some of
becoming
it.
a new Game
Some
Pass.
of it, I think
user
you're
at
going to
that
see
point.
more users come to Xbox that haven't been in the
Yeah.
Xbox ecosystem than you've ever seen
Yeah.
before.
Like
The-
Satya
and
said, almost
20
50% of
Yeah.
S users are brand new
over
to
the
the
next
ecosystem.
over 2023 and 2024.
Yeah.
And I think the cloud's going to get stronger. I think you're going to see the effects from Riot Games deal on PC as well, and other deals they're making for PC Game Pass. And I think because you have the
Yeah,
Blizzard
Blizzard
side
is
of
on
it,
PC.
right?
Yeah,
Like
As soon
one-
as they announced
Wow.
StarCraft coming back, it's
I
over.
think
Oh.
I think that this
dude.
on console it's going to be
Ah.
growing more than they potentially had expected. If they've narrowed down their expectations, I think they could potentially see and exceed that in 2023 for console Game Pass. But also, I think you could see it even surpass their wildest dreams of cloud gaming and stuff, especially if the Activision Blizzard deal gets done and they're able to open up mobile Game Pass as well, right? Which is something we talked about that they may want to be doing, which I think could potentially why there's talk of potential increase here after all of those deals get acquired, all this investment and more things get funneled in. Potentially at that point, they up the games to 70, which I will shit on them when they do that, just like I have everybody else. That point, we'll see maybe a $2 or $3 increase on Game Pass, right? But I still think you're going to see a huge growth surge next year for Game Pass. And even if it's profitable now, it's going to be even more next year for sure.
So
They
the
gotta do a
mobile
good-
thing. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I was going to say they got to do a good job at marketing that, because I feel like a lot of people, they'd be like, well, I can spend $70 now and get this game on PlayStation, not spend $300 by the Xbox, but they have to market it so that more games are coming out in the future to get you to switch over, instead of just people being short term, being like, I'll spend 70 now and just say fuck it later.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's going to happen. Go ahead.
The other thing is they have the friends and family thing coming in at some point,
Mhm.
right? That
Yes.
should kind of increase their numbers.
Yeah.
But as far as growth, they have to be able to make enough consoles and actually sell them
Yes.
throughout the world, right? As they increase that market share, it is possible that console will be it, but PC is an obvious area.
Yeah.
It's just so much of a
Yes.
bigger market share that they can just take. There's so many PC players, so they could go after that. The mobile thing is very interesting, though. I don't know if you saw this, but they actually have a mobile store that they're trying to create for
Mhm.
gaming.
Yep.
And that is going to have to go through some interesting challenges of
Mhm.
being, will Apple and Google allow that to exist on their platforms? Will they need the governments to come in and say, you have to allow that? So we will see. That is a long-term prospect. So I wouldn't expect much there yet, but that could be a few years out. That is a potential, and that could drive some Game Pass type, capability there. But yeah, that that is a long-term prospect.
It's going to be fun to watch, though, Hargeet.
It
'cause that's
will
gonna
be.
a
It'll be
bad
very
they want a
interesting to
piece
watch.
of
They are
that
going to
pie.
shoehorn. They're going to
Yeah.
crack open those stores. They want to open those stores.
I mean,
up
that's
in the
the
next
by
act.
far the biggest market in gaming, not even close.
It is, it
So for them
It
to
is.
be cut out of that, right? And that's
And
that's
it's a
their-
duopoly right now, right?
Yeah.
And
Yes.
that's got to be of concern to regulators that hey,
Yep.
the biggest chunk of this is. An
It doesn't
interesting
seem
time
like
right
it is,
now.
Hargeet. It just seems like
No,
it's
no, that-
Call of Duty is only concern to the CMA.
That's
at
exactly
least.
it. It's because
crazy.
it's been an afterthought, right?
Yeah.
Nobody seemed to care about the gaming industry, and I think they're finally realizing, hey, $70 billion
Yes.
for one company in entertainment is the
Correct.
biggest in the history of entertainment. And you have to think about, like, okay, entertainment now is gaming. And that is a big chunk of how people entertain themselves. It's not movies anymore. It's not TV or music. It's video games. And this industry needs to be looked at, right? The practices that are happening need to be looked at and regulated. And this is going to be one of those cases. 70% of the market, as you said, is mobile. It's mobile, right? And it's 2 companies. They own it. The vast majority that's on iOS. So that is going to be an interesting fight that's going to come up pretty soon.
Absolutely, this is a transition period for this industry, and it is an evolution period for this industry. And we talked about this. Matt and I talked about this back. I think we all have at some point. That's why we love being here and talking about this stuff. It's not just about the games. We are on the cusp of history for this industry.
Yeah.
And it's really shaping what we're going to see 10, 15, 20 years down the road and how it all plays out. We're watching it happen.
It's motion
right
controls.
Now. Yeah, motion controls. I know. Holodeck's coming.
So what will Nintendo's next thing be? Like, it'll be some weird thing probably instead of actually a console, you know? Like, Nintendo's quirky. They always come out of left field, you know? So the obvious
with the cardboard, so
the obvious answer would be a Switch 2, but
system.
like, you know, maybe they do something different. Who knows?
It is going to be interesting.
Yeah, this is all fun
Nintendo
speculation, right?
It is. It's fun speculation. It's great. But yeah, everybody knows for me next year, I think next year is the historic year. And I've seen a lot of historic years through my time. I think next year is lined up because no matter where you play next year, I think you're going to have at least a couple
bangers.
Absolutely home runs.
Huge
I think that
games.
no matter what, you were going to wind up. And then with everything else in between the known and the unknown, even if stuff does get delayed, which of course there will be, we know that's going to happen. But I think the delays are starting to shorten. And I think all of this stuff that has been pushed because of the pandemic, because of everything that's happened, it eventually has to come out at some point. Like there's only so long you delay a game. So we're just going to be crowded next year with really great stuff. And the diversity, again, talk about the golden age of gaming, because we're going back to the 360 PS3 era where the diversity of content that's coming out on top of it. These companies are taking more chances. We talk about how companies are being safe. 2K doesn't make the games like they used to. PlayStation doesn't make the games like they used to. But we've got other companies like Capcom coming back to life again and going back to the weird stuff like Exoprimal out of nowhere. Like we used to get the Lost Planets back in the day and that kind of stuff. So I think what this really is, we're going to start to see that coalesce in 2023 and really come together to really give us the greatest year in gaming. And I can't wait. And of course, everybody already knows, if you've listened to any shows, it's Starfield. I still cry myself to sleep every night. We would now be, 13 days away from playing it. It's absolutely a bummer. I'm all for the delay. If they got to make it better, they got to make it better. I'm cool with that. Not cool with Hargeet saying no, they could delay it to 24, 25. But next year, I want Starfield.
I think the one thing interesting about next year, though, is a lot of the games coming out necessarily aren't like returning IPs. There are a lot of new IPs.
New IP. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, we're going back to that. A lot of companies are taking chances. We're getting a lot of old stuff too. Yeah, Wolong again.
Looks good.
The Team Ninja coming back to play Hargeet is crazy, man. It is crazy to see that happen. 3 games. Like, I just can't believe it. That's awesome. That is fantastic.
So I'm thinking like maybe it won't be considered the greatest year for a lot of people, but just because they don't have that kind of like name brand already built in there. So a lot of people are just like taking chances on stuff. And it may not hit for everyone. It's just like.
But if you go back and look at the years that we consider some of the best, if you go back and look at the BioShock Mass Effect year, those were brand new IPs too that nobody knew.
That was 2007, but you also had the Halo and
so ridialous. That year
but
was
that
so
year
awesome.
was crazy good,
so
man.
Awesome.
Crazy good.
Yeah, Halo 3.
Yes.
COD 4.
Yeah.
It was insane. It was insane to go back and think about that. But
Could
I think that's what we're gonna.
Could this year compete with 2007?
And we're not even gonna have like just the big games. We're gonna have a volume of great games coming out potentially, and I think that's gonna be the difference maker right there. So. Looking forward to it, man. Can't wait. I don't know how we're gonna play. I don't know how much time. Again, now that Age of Empires has been announced,
added to the list.
I mean,
it's another one, right?
That game could last you an entire like decade.
Yes, right. These are all time sync games. Diablo 4, Starfield. Starfield's like 5 games for me in one shot. Like it's gonna be crazy. I don't have enough time. I don't think any of us do, but it's gonna be fun. I'm gonna try. Man, this 2.5 hours flew. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say one more game, Undisputed. The boxing game. Hopefully that helps EA bring back Fight Night as well.
Oh,
But
you know
I'm
they're
looking forward to that as well.
You know, they're just sitting on it. They're gonna
Yeah.
announce it.
God, it's
They can't
been
let
too long.
they can't let them come out, huh?
Been too long. for
Yeah,
fighting
They
it's
make
games.
a UFC, don't they? They made the UFC games,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, the
Yeah,
UFC
they'll probably do
games
that.
controls suck ass. I mean, it's like it's so hard to figure out what to do. You can't jump in and play. The boxing is like so simple. You know, you can
Yeah, but I
kind of
think
grab it.
UFC has a bigger name than boxing now.
Yeah, it does. But I think the boxing games would sell more than the UFC games because it's a more fun game to play.
And
Just
you also have
imagine.
that Star
yeah.
Wars Jedi Fallen Order coming.
Yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
whatever.
early.
Lost Survivor.
Survivor. So yeah,
Dead
How,
Space
how
is
many
in
Star
January.
Wars games are coming next year? You think?
3
Next
4?
year,
Maybe Massives.
I know
don't
of- I know of 2. I know last Fallen Order and the Take-Two, the Switch game. I don't know if there's any other ones.
There's
sure.
that one.
well, if we count mobile, we'll probably have 8.
Yeah. Well, fair enough. Yeah.
Oh, UB Massives won't come because I think that Avatar game will be next year,
Yes.
right?
Oh,
so
that's another one.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Our
looks
games
pretty
just keep
awesome.
coming.
Yep. And
It's
Assassin's
crazy.
Creed, is that coming next year?
Yeah,
Is it gonna be
Mirage,
Assassin's
yeah.
Creed?
yeah,
Mirage?
and Skull and Bones, everybody. Skull and
Oh,
Bones.
Hey,
yeah.
hey,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Woo! God of War was lucky to avoid that one.
Heartland will be next year too, right?
Yep,
Yeah.
Heartland will be out
Maybe.
next
Yeah.
year.
Yakuza coming. There's so much, man.
Yes, there is
I know.
so much.
Was
Oh
that
my God.
Rise of the Ronin next year? Or was that the year
No,
Oh,
that's
yeah, the
24,
PlayStation.
I
Right.
think. It's
Uh,
tentatively 24.
yeah.
after? Final Fantasy
2024.
16.
Yep.
PlayStation.
And yeah, then
I mentioned the trifecta of fucking fighting games, guys. It's been a long time since we've had a year like that, right?
yeah.
The racers.
Probably a couple
crazy.
smaller ones coming out too.
And, well, next for Xbox, we get Guilty Gear and we get Blaze Blue,
Yeah.
which we haven't seen in forever. So that's
Yeah.
like 5 fighting games alone next year on Xbox.
I know.
Crazy.
And it's just insane. It could be one of the best years for gaming on console since a very long time.
Yeah.
What 2017? I think there was the last year that we had a lot. Was it 2017 or
2017, I think, had Sea of Thieves, and that's about it for Xbox.
Well, for
You think about
gaming in
overall
general.
for gaming in
Overall,
general? I don't remember
yeah.
what 2017 was. I don't
I think it was like
Or
a
was it
20.
2014?
Motorsport 7.
Or was it
um,
2014 that I'm thinking of?
2014 was a pretty minimal year, I think.
Yeah, 14.
I don't
Like-
think there was a good year for all of Xbox.
The last
generation.
the last generation overall,
Yeah.
like I would
Pretty
argue, was
lackluster.
pretty
It wasn't
weak.
a good
Yes.
one.
You had the
Oh,
race,
yeah,
the racing genre took a big dive because the only real prominent racing game last generation was Forza. You had the fighting genre took a huge dive. Tekken pretty much disappeared into obscurity. Street Fighter became an
Disappeared because of the
exclusive, and
exclusive,
it
yeah.
disappeared. It also wasn't very good Street Fighter. Then you had
Soul Calibur.
yeah.
Mass Effect, Dragon Age
Like-
missed that entire generation.
Yeah,
Yep.
pretty much.
Splinter Cell. There was no fucking Splinter Cell game the entire last generation as well, right? Like you had
No
huge
GTA. I
huge
it's crazy.
franchises.
No GTA.
no
They do that?
only one
There
Dragon
hasn't
Age
been-
game, only one Mass Effect game, and the one Mass Effect game was a flop,
Was
right?
not that great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just like going back to the 360
Yeah.
versus the Xbox
Yes.
One. Remember the 360? We had all of the BioShock trilogy come out, the
Yep.
Mass Effect trilogy come out,
Yep.
Halo 3, Reach, ODST,
Dragon Age.
Halo 4. All that came out, right?
Yep.
Yeah, Dragon
Age.
from
Yep.
Rockstar. We had GTA 4, GTA 5, and RDR all in the same
Correct.
generation. Dude, this
Correct.
stuff is never going to happen again. Think of all the
Yeah.
Uncharted 1, 2, 3. We had all that in the same generation. It's just never going to happen again, right?
But we could
Gears 1,
wind
2,
up-
3,
but
and
with the
what was
qu-
other
with the-
Judgment?
With the quantity, though,
yeah, it's just
right
crazy.
now, we could wind up with that. We just don't know about them yet. But some of these games coming out could wind up being that good. And all of a sudden, we talk about this.
It'd be
generation.
good, but you won't get a trilogy. Right?
No, you
will
won't
just
get a
never
trilogy.
the
No,
trilogy.
no.
You get
Dead
two
Island
at
2, by the
most.
way, there's another one that's
Yeah.
coming next
Yes,
year, early next
Dead
year,
Island, yeah,
right?
yep,
Yep,
and
Dead
then,
Island
yeah.
2.
Yep.
There's so many things coming. There's so much coming.
It's gonna be so much fun,
It's
man.
gonna be
It's
crazy.
crazy. Oh man, brothers, this is a great 2.5 hours. Chat, you all were absolutely amazing. Thank you for coming out and supporting us as always on a Friday night to watch Xbox Ultimate. And we love you, and nothing but respect to all of you. But Hargeet, sir, brother, it was awesome to have you here, sir.
Yeah, this was great.
And a pleasure. I hope you enjoyed yourself, but we do
Yeah.
appreciate you taking the time and stopping by and talking with us. Love your point of view, man. Love the different takes that you have. Again, love the conversation. That's why I do this. Most of us do this is because those conversations that you just don't get anywhere else. So thank you for being here, sir. Where can everybody find you? What you got going on?
Yeah, so I'm on Game On Daily, and so you can check out our website, gameondaily.com. It's a news aggregation platform. You can set up what you like, and it'll give you that information. And then check out our Go Live podcast. It's youtube.com/Go Live, Game On Daily. It's 4 p.m. Eastern on Saturdays, though it might be off. Is it this weekend? I think because they do daylight savings. So and we
No,
don't.
it's next weekend. It's the 6th.
So we
It's
do
daylight.
ours later than them. So
Yeah.
theirs is already done. So I don't know if it'll hit or not, but whatever.
Right.
So one of these weekends it'll be off by an hour. But anyways, you check that out. And yeah, I don't do social media, so I'm not on any Twitter or anything like that. But I'm H Chani on Xbox if you want to check me out there.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Great to have you here. Chat, put up the clap emojis for Hargeet. Channy for stopping on in the Xbox Ultimate. Now, let's get to the regular brothers here. Psycho, you were the last to get in here. Let's get you the first out of here, brother. Great to have you. Thanks for jumping in, man. I'm glad you could get here tonight, which I know is not always possible.
Glad you could get meat, Psycho.
Get meat,
Yeah.
whatever. Get here, meat.
Did you
whatever.
did you get all the meat
Did you
you
bring
needed,
your meat?
Psycho?
Did you bring your meat
Yeah.
with? Okay.
Yeah.
What's going on, Psycho?
Yeah. Thanks for having me, Pong. It was fantastic.
Welcome to my channel, by the way.
Yes, this is
Last 2
amazing.
days, for sure.
Right? Yeah, chat, you're always amazing. Thanks for coming out, everybody. Hargeet, awesome to have you on. I think this is the first time I've been on a podcast with you, sir. So fantastic job today.
Is this the first for all of us on the panel?
I think so.
Yeah, I haven't been on a podcast with
might-
Hargeet. I don't think. I mean,
Yeah.
I've been in the chats when you're on shows, but I've been on Go Live like 3 times, but I've never been on at the same time as you.
Same time as me, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, everyone, thanks for coming out. Not this past Monday, but the Monday prior, I did an interview with Web Dave. Go check that out. Great guy. He's a great person in the community. Support him. You go out, check, subscribe, and to his YouTube channel. And yeah, find me Mondays, FSP, 10 o'clock, and here Fridays on Xbox Ultimate, 9 o'clock. We didn't really go left this time, but
No, because I'm in charge.
Pong's
yeah,
host.
that's true. That's true. So thanks again, chat. Thanks for coming out and seeing us, and we'll see you in the fucking warfare, buddy.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hardcore. Look at
Okay.
you, Psycho.
Are you gonna bring your
Oh.
meat?
Yeah, bring your
Yeah,
meat.
I'm gonna beat my meat. I mean, bring my meat.
Whoa, wow. See, gotta save it till the end. All right.
That's
Fuzzy
what she said.
Belvedere,
Oh my
brother.
god!
Oh Jesus, here we go, Fuzzy. Fuzzy, save us real quick here, Fuzzy. Thanks for being here, brother. Always great to talk with you. I will be talking with you tomorrow night again on the shop. But
Yeah.
tell us where we can find you, because you've got more podcasts than me now, which is insane. You're retired. I'm back to working like regular now, and actually more so. So I don't get to be on as many as I used to be. But tell everybody where they can find you, brother.
Oh, just want to start off by saying it was awesome being on here with you guys, and it was awesome having Hargeet Chani on here as well. Always like your takes, man. Definitely appreciate you joining us tonight, and everybody in the chat. Thank you guys for joining us as well. For those that want to hear my rambling on anything gaming related, just follow me on Twitter at @fuzzy_Belvedere. You can find me, Pong, and PTK Blam on the Shop Podcast tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on PTK Blam's channel. On Mondays, you can find me at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Double Barrel Gaming for the Xbox Lunch Break Special. And then later that evening on FSP right here on this channel, on Fun Speculations channel at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then on Friday mornings, you can find me on the Breakfast with Boom show at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Double Barrel Gaming. And then right back here on the Xbox Ultimate with the family at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Look forward to it next week.
I wasn't lying. He's on more shows than me, I think, at this point. All right, Fuzzy, thanks again, man. I appreciate you being here. Actually, guy, Jasper, Mr. I give every game a 2 reviewer, because I hate gaming and I don't know why I'm here. But anyways, what's going on with you, Jasper? What you got going on? I know you're streaming a lot lately, so
Yeah.
Oh.
Great being on our show with Hargeet. His generosity community is actually mind blowing. Like, he gives way too much. Lord Jasper on Twitter, Lord Master Jasper on YouTube. I've been streaming a lot of Call of Duty. Probably do that some more this week. Going to start making some videos in that, just talking about general gaming stuff while playing Call of Duty. So check that out. And then Monday night, it's FSP right here on this channel, Fun Speculation Podcast, where Pong is not the captain, so Mav is. We do that. It's 10 o'clock on Monday, and then it's Xbox Ultimate Friday night, 9 o'clock right here.
Good to hear from you, and you're always quick and you get us out of here fast. I love Jasper. Thank you very much, sir. And I'll be seeing you later, Sweaty. Listen, the Godfather.
Did you say Sweetie?
No, I said Sweaty.
Oh, okay.
We're not that close yet. Listen, the Godfather of the Fun Speculation mob, the Mafia here, the man himself. He pushed through an absolutely horrible headache tonight, man. Brother, appreciate you doing that and getting the show off. But what do you got going on, man? What do you got coming up here?
First, I'd like to apologize to the chat for having to let Pong host this. I know you get sick of him after last night's show. No, for real, thanks.
Your
thanks.
subs went up by like 500.
Thanks.
So I don't know.
Thanks. No, thanks for taking over for the show, Pong. Best host on Fun Speculation for sure, as always. And shout out to the chat. Thank everybody for being here. Hargeet, you're absolutely awesome, man. I've been wanting to kind of have a chance to talk to you and stuff before, because you're, in my personal opinion, you have brilliant takes that you think about things in a different way. So, but you make good points along the way to help open minds a little bit. So I do appreciate that. I appreciate you being here to give us a taste of what Hargeet has to offer. Join Twitter, please. Elon Musk owns it now, so you know what I mean. It's not the same platform anymore that it was. So we'll see.
Don't Hargeet, it'll ruin you for life. Just
I
don't,
know,
just
right?
don't.
Yeah. But yeah, real quick, I do got to get to a couple more messages here. Vik The CLiCK was a member for 6 months, said, amazing episode, guys. Appreciate you, Vic. Then he hit us with a $5 super chat.
Oh, you can tell when he's drinking more.
Yeah.
Let's go, Vic.
Appreciate you, Vic. He says so many games, and I still got like a 10-game backlog need to finish. Beer time. Yeah, hell yeah, dude. Always beer time for Vic. But yeah, it was a fun show, awesome time. And if you guys want to check out some more stuff we got going on, tomorrow we'll probably be streaming some Modern Warfare, and maybe Sunday as well, and the day after that, the day after that, the day after that. But we'll be playing. I will be back live 10 p.m. Eastern on Monday. Fun Speculation Podcast. We do have a guest lined up for that as well. Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern time. PM in the PM with Pong Soul as always, and Fridays is the Xbox Ultimate Podcast, 9 p.m. Eastern. Appreciate everybody. And look out for more content coming your way here on the channel as well. Now, Pong Soul, do
Yes,
your
sir.
thing, brother.
Absolutely. Again, chat, you're all freaking amazing. No matter how many shows you watch, listen to, the fact that you come here and give us your time. Again, all respect, all love to all of you that support all of us in this podcasting space. So thank you all for being here. You guys are amazing. This has been episode 112 of Xbox Ultimate. I am Pong Soul on Twitter. I'm on Pong Soul on Xbox. You know how to find me there. Tomorrow morning, I did actually get a morning video out to remind everybody. So make sure, if you haven't already set your alarm, set your reminders, because tomorrow morning it's my brother from another Steel Rain and I, living split screen, bringing it live, raw, and uncut with that energy that you need to get your Saturday started. That's right, living split screen, 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central Time, 3 p.m. BST time. It's 3+ hours. Get ready, buckle up. Steel and I got a lot to get to tomorrow. Be there or be square. And then, of course, tomorrow night, it is the Shop Podcast, like Fuzzy said, over on PTK Blam's channel. He deserves a bigger audience every Saturday night. So drop on in, check us out, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 o'clock Central Time. Me, Fuzzy, and of course, the man himself, PTK Blam. Be there for the Shop. Tuesdays, Xbox Factor Podcast, Double Barrel Gaming, Mr. Boomstick, 5 days a week. Dude's a Terminator. Gotta show up. I can't make as many shows as I used to over there, but I am still technically on the panel until he kicks me off. So I'm going to promote it. 12 p.m. Eastern, 11 o'clock Central Time, every Tuesday. All good things green. And then, like Mav said, it's PM in the PM Thursday nights right here on Fun Speculations channel. We had royalty in the house last night. King David joined us
for the first hour and a half. Amazing show. As always, King is freaking awesome. Love the dude and all the ILP. But if you didn't check out last night's show, please go do so. We had a great time, but that will be 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 o'clock Central Time next Thursday. And of course, Xbox Ultimate right back here next Friday night. Listen, it's the golden age of gaming. People, get out there, enjoy what's happening, no matter where you're playing, no matter what you like. There's something for you. Have a great rest of your weekend. Play what you love what you play, and I'm going to talk to you all real soon. Mav, get us out of here, brother.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Bye.
I think Houston won game 1.